motherfucking News Underground. That was Gelato 45. Soft serve. We're going to be listening to this 420 mix all day, so thank you so much to Rare Funk. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to Rare Funk. Folks, I am Abandoned Nihilism, a.k.a. The Harbinger, a.k.a. The Realest Motherfucker on Twitch. If you wanted news, well, you motherfucking found it. Welcome to politics, where we don't fuck around, except when we're fucking around. But this is where the realists sit. This is where the realists live. The motherfuckers that aren't lying to themselves as well as lying to everybody else. Because I don't lie to myself, so why the fuck am I going to let you get away with that shit in my chat? Being in my chat is a privilege, not a fucking right. You got to earn your stripes. So welcome back, strategy member. You've definitely earned yours. Everybody's got a motherfucking agenda. When the only agenda on the table is freedom, is liberty. Because that's where everything else stems from. And if that foundation is broken, then you're in fucking chains. Today we're going to be covering a smattering of news for the first hour or so. Then we're going to be jumping into Ukraine first, then over to Gaza. A couple funny videos in between. So welcome to the News Underground. I hope you have a good time. I hope you learn something. I hope you get that fire ignited in your belly. Get ready to defend yourself. Put trademarks around your fucking eyes. Lovely movie quote there. I actually haven't seen that movie. I gotta watch it. We're gonna start off with some climate stuff. Everyone's talking about the northern lights and stuff. My wife and I might even drive out to see if we can see it. Drive away from the city, get into a nice dark area. Canoodle. Kid's gonna be in the car, so you know. You know how that fucking goes. Yeah, we're gonna talk about climate here. First couple stories. Got a tornado update as well as these northern lights. Get to it, folks. News time.
As the midnight skies dawned, the nation was illuminated with colour. Bright and swirling bands of green, purple, and pink light enveloped as far as the eye can see. From Livingston to Berkshire to Oxford, millions of people across the UK were able to revel in the magical glow. The Aurora Borealis, or more commonly known as the Northern Lights, are mostly seen around the North Pole and typically in areas with low light pollution. But from countries across the Northern Hemisphere, like Russia, Germany, and many states in the US, were treated to stunning light displays. An extremely rare geomagnetic storm triggered the auroras we saw overnight, one of the most powerful in decades, so strong that it could even affect GPS systems and satellite navigation.
To get the right conditions to have an event like this at Earth is really special. So if you think about the sun and the release of particles out into space, it could happen anywhere on that sphere. So the fact that it's released in the right location to then travel towards us at Earth to then interact with our atmosphere and cause the aurora is really exciting and really special.
If you missed last night, you may be in luck. Meteorologists are predicting even more dazzling light shows throughout the weekend. Their advice: get away from the city, look north and watch through your phone to pick up all the vibrant colours your naked eye can't see.
Yeah, fascinating.
Phenomenons like this only happen once a decade. So for once, you probably don't want to put your phone down.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Encouraged to get your phone out. My God, thumbnail. My mouse went right to it. I just like, boink. The thumbnail. What is this? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in the music section, just real quick. No problem. Wait 1 second. Watch it. All right, next story, climate-related story here is, of course, the tornado follow-up. And, you know, I just got, look, I understand, you know, these climate influencers, I don't know what the hell you want to call them, these storm chasers. They could probably do a lot of good. They being on the absolute front line of these catastrophes, you might be able to save somebody that you might not have been able to save. You got yourself the movie Twister every time you go out there. But look, I just got a rule. Okay, look, I'm sorry I'm going to be the asshole over here. I'm not chasing tornadoes, but I'm going to put down a rule anyway. I know all you tornado guys are like, no, too fucking bad, because I'm putting down a rule. Look, you drive to the front line of a tornado and then you get caught in a tornado, you're not allowed to scream like a bitch. Like you didn't see that shit coming. Like you're in, How I Survived. Okay? You please take that shit like a man. Suck it up. Grunting is okay. Especially if you're in pain, or if you're like, you're experiencing it, you're in the truck, the fucking tornado's in you, you're like, oh shit, here we go. You start making a bunch of weird involuntary noises. That's okay. Screaming like a bitch? I'm sorry. No. You put yourself there. Okay? You're caught in a tornado by accident. Scream like a bitch all you want. You drive to a fucking tornado and then it envelops your vehicle. You're not allowed to scream like a bitch. I'm sorry. Those are the fucking rules. I've just made them. And now you have to follow them. How's that feel, huh? Yeah. Free speech, yeah, right. Fucking woke liberal. I'll show you. I'm going to install a dictator. That'll show you how much I support free speech. Okay, anyway. Tornado time. And let's see if Mr. What's-His-Nuts here follows the rules. It's a different guy from last time.
In your sweet... Please, Lord! Please! Please! Heads down! Heads down! Heads down! There is massive hail in this thing.
Who's screaming, Lord, please? Lord, please?
We're going to be very close.
Yeah, strategy. It's perfectly fine. If you are being eviscerated by the tornado or you killed in any kind of way, experiencing pain, you're allowed to scream like a bitch. If you're in your car, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. You drove there. You drove there. You got to take it like a man a little bit. You got to suck it up a little bit.
Hitting that. I'll be fine. We'll be okay.
I think we found the screamer. I think we found Mr. God. I think we found Mr. God, please. Fucking Shaggy from fucking Scooby-Doo over here. He picked him up after his fucking van broke down. God.
Close to hitting that. I'll be fine. We'll be okay.
What, has he got a PhD too? Oh, he's got a PhD as well? Okay, all right. Fuck everything. Fuck everybody.
Yeah, that's a tornado. The tornado's on the ground right there. Yeah, dude, we are here. Going south.
Save the car! It's a rental!
Going south. Going this way. We're not going to be We've been cut over. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep. Here you go. Oh, wow.
You're driving there. You went out of your way.
South of Lewistown. Intense cold
Your
tornado.
computers are warning you.
1 mile till we get to the fields. 1 mile. So just up this valley, and we should be able to see this tornado.
All right.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh,
right there.
fucking sweet Jesus. Look at that son of a bitch.
That's it right there.
Nobody gets footage like this, though. That's why they can continue. Please keep going. But you have to follow my rule. But you keep going because the news media is too fucking pussy to do this shit.
Down all over your turns coming up here.
Turning right or what?
Yeah, so keep on going, keep on going. It's gonna be left. Right here. This
Footage
is the
is
ground over here.
bananas, dog.
It's on the ground.
Okay, it's down.
It's down. We got a debris cloud.
That's your gear?
Oh, wow. My.
Oh, honey. You're in a dress shirt, sir. You're in a dress shirt.
What's going on, bud?
Oh my God, is that like a Honda Civic or is that like a Honda Fit?
Be cognizant. It's coming towards us.
Where are we going?
East. Did you go this way? Yes.
You motherfuckers are in a Civic?
You go down this road. Go, go. Straight, 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 straight. Nice and easy, though.
You gotta go, Riley, if you can, bro.
I hate this.
They're driving towards it.
This is already recorded, so I'm not worried about it. You know, 20%, this is a mile away from us.
Yeah.
You know, it might have been the fact that 4 of them were in the vehicle, you know, four full-grown men that might have prevented it from lifting up. Because that's the worry. Goddamn tornado will throw you like a giant.
You mean like I'm turning off this road?
Holy shit, amateur hour. Oh my god, dog.
So I turn left?
Turn left. Yep,
Okay,
turn left,
look.
go straight north.
I don't know.
Go,
There
go,
needs
go,
to be
go,
a
go.
storm chasing school or something. We gotta train these guys or something. This is a little embarrassing.
Yeah. Go.
Oh my god. I kind of see why they were screaming for God. It's gonna go south.
Yeah, our escape route's north right now. And it's
Wait,
okay right
are the wipers going full speed?
The winds don't make it seem like it's okay right now.
The wipers are not even.
Oh my gosh!
Does he not? Holy fuck! Holy
Lord Jesus,
fuck!
please protect us in the name of Jesus.
Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we fucking go. No, the in the name of Jesus guy is not allowed to go. I'm sorry. You're ruining the vibe. Okay? Did they have the in the name of Jesus guy in the movie Twister? No, because he would have sucked. No. They had awesome people. I can't remember any of the names of the fucking actors. They were actually really good. In the name of Jesus. But look at that shot, though. You can't see it coming. You're doing like 30, 40, 50 miles an hour.
It seems like it's okay right now. I get it. Yep. Oh my god!
Oh, fuck. It falls right on them. It falls on, dude. And they're lucky. They're lucky. Jesus, God saved them from that fucking post going because he wasn't braking. He wasn't stopping. Look at that shit.
Oh! Holy.
Lord Jesus, please protect us in the name of Jesus.
Oh!
Fudge. Get
Okay,
over
yeah,
it.
so the other
Window
post
up,
fell
window up.
down. Wow, so they're kind of trapped.
Fudge. Get over it.
Fudge. Did this motherfucker say fudge? Did this motherfucker say fudge? No, hold on. One more time. Let's listen carefully.
Window up.
Window up. Okay, let's listen for the fudge.
Oh, fudge.
That motherfucker said fudge, dude.
Get over it.
Window up.
Okay, tornado procedures. Engage tornado procedures.
Okay, we're okay.
Dude, I don't know where that tornado is right now. I don't like this.
I don't like that either.
Wow,
Okay.
These guys are super lucky.
Tornado's
dude.
right next to us, right here.
Oh no.
Okay.
It's
Tornado's right next to us, right here.
Oh no. Oh no.
Do we need to get down in the ditch?
Oh no. Tanner, do we need to get in the ditch, bro?
Dude, I think we do. No, calm down.
There's. Holy shoot.
Holy shoot, guys. Oh my fudge. Holy shoot. And no, you don't want to get out, dude. That's live wire. It's literally like a video game. It's literally like a video game scenario. You've been trapped by both sides. They're in a Honda Civic. The ditches on either side are too deep. You can't really go around. I don't know. Technically, maybe you might be able, you could actually know now that I'm looking at it, these puss boys could absolutely go around here. There's actually plenty of road right here. So he totally panics, stops moving. They look out the window and it's a live wire on a wet road. You do not want to get on that. It's very possible that the entire road is electrified, straight up electrified, like a video game. So they're in kind of the perfect scenario. So obviously you're not moving forward here. Completely cover the road. You can't dip in. You'll dip in here. You'll dip in there. Can't do it. You got to turn the fucking car around, Taylor, whatever the fuck your name is. Quit praying to Santa Maria for 5 seconds and turn the fucking vehicle around like you're at a grocery store. You have plenty of time.
Holy shoot.
Now, with that said, though, the tornado is actually kind of in that direction. Right, so you got to calculate: am I going to be able to make it? You need to move forward. So there is that going on.
Holy
Yeah, and the road is fucking electrified, dude. That it's dangerous. Do not get out of the car.
Shoot.
I don't like this. Roll up your window. Roll up your window!
No, hold on.
Jesus,
looking,
they're
it's gonna-
panicking.
We are freaking in the tornado. This is literally what. Oh,
Tanner. This guy's name is Tanner, isn't it? Tanner Charles.
This is terrible.
Thank you, Jesus, for protecting us in the name of Jesus. And I thank you that you're going to protect us right now in the name of Jesus.
Hey, Jesus came through, man.
Please, dear Lord, we are in it. Please, Lord.
Please, Lord. Please, Lord.
Please, God. We were just here to sell some Bibles. You got what you wanted, Tanner. You got what you wanted. Oh, did the window shatter? I think the window shattered in the back. Yep, the window shatters in the back. Oh, please, Lord! Please! You're not allowed. You're breaking the one rule. You're breaking the one rule. No, it's not cool. They're super lucky they didn't die. Oh, come on. Can we just enjoy the tornado without the fucking shrieking? Hey, man, look, if we're gonna die, do I have to hear you? They went in there completely unequipped. Looks like they might have got pushed into the ditch. God, Lord, God, Lord. Please be done. Please. Okay, shut up. Come on. Man, if we gotta die, do we really have to die with you shrieking like this? How do Christians make dying in a tornado lame?
Please have it be done. Please, Lord.
Yeah, he's louder than the fucking tornado, isn't he?
Done. Please, Lord, have it be done.
Yeah, they're in a goddamn Civic. Okay.
Please, God.
Oh boy.
Done. We need to figure out how we're gonna be safe.
Tanner,
Come on.
got what he
We have to be
wanted,
proactive
Daddy-o.
now, okay? So calm down. Let's figure this out together.
Yeah. Well, pray to God first of all. Let's do a group prayer. Grab my hand.
I'm very thankful we're alive.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Everyone grab each other's hand. There we go. Let's do a prayer. Thank the big man.
Important is that we're alive.
Yeah.
Dude, this is.
What a fucking. Come on. Don't get out of the fucking car. Oh, and what an idiot. What an idiot. What an idiot. Oh! What a moron. How the hell do you know? How the hell do you know that he literally just right before the tornado passed? I mean, maybe they checked. I don't know. Wow, yeah, no, they got pushed to the side. No, they were very lucky. The weight of the vehicle prevented them from getting lifted up. They were just moved. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, we're not going to fucking watch this. No thanks. You got what you asked for. You got what you asked for. Look, there's one rule to tornado chasing. You don't scream like a bitch when you're caught in one. You drove there, Tanner. You broke the golden rule. That's my only problem. But good job, Tanner. That's actually some really great footage. You know, welcome to the world of tornado chasing. Really great footage. Absolutely epic, that tornado. Like, we're getting footage that's completely bananas because of these good Christian boys. Hey, he came through, though. Props to the J-Man. Moving on. Wanted to get an update on Niger, so I thought we would jump into that. Kind of an interesting situation. Yes. Okay, I want to make sure I spelled that correctly. This is one I can get in trouble for. I need to be very, very careful with how I spell it. But no, I found this really cool new channel. Godlike Tornadoes Hates Trailer Parks. By the way, welcome back, everybody. Woke Patriot, Nematode, Strategy, Clutch. Thank you again, Clutch Cargo, for coming back. But no, I found this really cool channel called Africa Dysphoria News Channel. 1.74 million subscribers, yo. Holy fucking shit, you know? And I guarantee you've never seen this. Pretty wild how that happens on YouTube. So let's jump into it. We have a Niger update, kind of a commingling between U.S. and Russian troops. In the meantime, I guess we're pulling out of Niger. We're not because we don't like the junta. I did see one channel called Africa Uncensored or Uncovered, maybe is what it was, saying that, you know, the junta was a liberation from Western control, which is things are pretty crazy out there on the African continent. So let's get a little update. There you go.
Your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
The U.S. has finally agreed to withdraw their troops from Niger, at least 1,000 of them. This comes after Niger asked the U.S. to withdraw its troops and U.S. saying no. Cool. And then thinking about it, and then begging, and then negotiating.
I was talking over her.
The U.S. to withdraw its troops, and U.S. saying no, and then thinking about it, and then begging, and then negotiating. Now, finally, they are agreeing to withdraw. But this win for Niger did not come easily. They had to make a statement. They had to tell the world what they want from the U.S. and their people had to go to the streets and protest. The people of Niger went out to the streets to protest and also say that they want the U.S.
What is she laughing about? She's like giggling.
U.S. troops to leave Niger ASAP. Watch this clip.
Hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets of Niamey on Saturday, demanding the departure of American troops some 3 months after the last French troops left the country. Protesters have vowed to continue demonstrating until all American forces leave the country.
This mobilization is the Nigerian people's call to the American government to set a timetable for withdrawing its troops from our country. We hope that the American government will take precautions to prevent any escalation.
Previously, our authorities were against military agreements with the French, and we supported their stance until the French forces departed. Today, we are once again demonstrating to demand the departure of American forces from our country. We request that the Americans leave our territory. The United States must recognize that Niger is a sovereign state. Just like them, we are free to establish relations with whomever we want, as long as it is done in the spirit of mutual benefit.
The U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell and Nigerian Prime Minister Ali Mohammed met on Friday, and the reports say that Washington is committing to begin planning on an orderly and responsible withdrawal of its troops from the country. This is not easy for the U.S. to do because they invested heavily in their military base in Niger. I believe around $100 million of U.S. taxpayers' money was spent in Niger building that military base. Don't get it twisted. They built that base because they wanted to monitor and they wanted to fly their drones and they wanted to use Niger's grounds, not to help the people of Niger, not to help the government.
This is a pattern that we've seen quite a bit with Western meddling in third world countries.
Niger, even though that is what the claim has been for
we might not be the good guys.
Foreign military bases in African countries. We don't understand why our governments decided to allow these foreign nations to camp in our land. Why in the world are you allowing another country to have a military base in your country? It's a recipe for disaster, and that's exactly what a lot of African countries have witnessed because of allowing these troops to be in their land. Either the people
they just don't know how to freedom correctly. That's the problem.
These troops of being involved in shady business or having some illegal action going on. When Mali was saying no to French troops, they were not listening to them. When they are not allowing their air base to be used, it was being used and drones were being flown. It's like they do not respect the sovereignty of the country that they have their base in.
That's
I mean,
right.
It's clear
Cuba.
where the respect lies.
Okay.
And we're happy that Niger finally decided that they're not going to entertain this kind of disrespect. The final straw for Niger was the constant force and the constant push from the US government to pick a side. They kept telling Niger that they can't have allies aside from the United States. And finally, they said, fine, if you want me to choose, I will choose. You can leave and you come back. And it was not received well. As you know, there was a back and forth. We covered it when the US was in denial, when the US was saying no to removing their troops.
I mean, what complicates it is that the government that had that deal has been challenged and basically overturned, I think, in Niger at least. So that complicates things, is that, you know, the government that made the agreement that allowed the base to be there is a little irrelevant now.
Now they're finally saying, okay, let's hope that they will keep their word. But if they don't, we know the people of Niger will not settle for less, and they will not accept anything but what they're demanding for. Anyways,
that's a very interesting perspective. It feels a little biased in its own way. I feel like we're missing a certain something here. The subscriber count is very suspect. 1.74 million people are subscribed to this. Raises my eyebrows a bit, but whatever. That was a very interesting perspective. And you can expect more Niger updates coming, you know, in future episodes. We'll see what's going on over there. The main gist, what I believe should happen, is that, of course, the United States shouldn't be attempting regime change or anything like that. But I do think we should be encouraging democracy economically with our trade deals, and of course also encouraging human rights, you know, rights for women, yada, 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 those kind of things. Hey, look, we want to do business with you. You want cell phones? You know, hey, how about this? We'll build a sewage treatment plant and 100 miles of piping in a village. You know, and if you do this for us, if you do that for us, just encouraging with your massive, because it's all about extracting resources. That's the big quid pro quo here, of course. You know, getting, you know, all different types of, you know, rare earth metals and jewels and gems and gold and silver and copper and all kinds of fun stuff for pennies on the dollar. So I'm not saying we should continue that exploitation, but what I'm saying is that some of these trade deals should come with some strings attached and make it very sweet. You know, hey, you know, like we can make you look like Nelson fucking Mandela over here building churches and schools. If you want to cooperate, all you need to do is let women go to school, you know, or, you know, build proper running water in some of these villages, you know, like, which is crazy to say, because you would kind of expect the leaders of some of these African countries to care about that, that they want to do that. But no, that's not the case. Decades long empires, these family dynasties that have been in place in some of these countries for decades. We've gone over it. In the Coup Belt, and their villages won't have basic amenities. There won't be roads, paved roads. There won't be, you know, electricity. And of course, when natural disasters happen, there's literally nothing we could do, and it's just expected. The people literally don't expect a thing from their government. They're completely abandoned by their government. So those are my thoughts. In terms of how we should deal with this, because it's like, I don't think regime change works, you know, 9.5 times out of 10. You know, we need Tom Cruise. That's the problem. You know, where was Tom Cruise in the 70s with Iran, right? What a baby. What was he, a little baby? What a bitch. All right, moving on. Let me see here. Let me just think. Let me think. What is this? Yeah, we'll just switch to this bad boy. Fash time. It's fash time. So, you know, this is for any new viewers. This is the insurrection update where we go over what's going on with the fascists. Just covering, you know, the insurrection has not stopped. January 6th was the beginning. It has not stopped. The main planners and perpetrators of January 6th have yet to be punished, including characters like Mike Johnson, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz. List goes on and on. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think she was there January 6th. I'm not sure, but you know what I'm saying. Nobody's seen any jail time that, you know, doesn't have a red neck and a fucking car dealership that they were able to bounce from. You know what I'm talking about. Petite bourgeois. I learned this new word and I'm using it all the time. Petite bourgeois. Like those, you know, 500,000 to, you know, million, couple $1 million a year guys. You know, they own a business. Think they're king shit. You know, think they can do whatever they want. Vote strictly Republican no matter what. The petite bourgeois. The left has one too. Tom Cruise, huh? Celebrity privilege. And any movies with Tom Cruise's face on it. All right, so let's get into it. Right-wing update. The insurrection is not stopped. It's still going. If we want to stop it, we need to meet it headway. Of course, I have the solution to this called the 3-step program. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization. And step 3, put in the work like Charlie Kirk, bitch. The fascists are putting in the work, so we got to meet them. Right there, right in front of them, on the front lines, the left. So here's an example of the rights that the right can't wait to take away from you, strip from you, just to give you just an idea of your future with these fascists if we don't stand up and fight. Katie Britt introduced a bill to create a national registry of pregnant women. They will then be referred to, quote-unquote, crisis pregnancy centers, unquote. The pregnancy.gov database will not allow any vendor who advocates for abortion rights. So basically a government mandated program. You know, you ever heard of those Christian fake abortion clinics where it looks like an abortion clinic, they advertise themselves like an abortion clinic? You go in there and it's a nonstop brainwashing session and guilt trip. And then ultimately they tell you we can't provide you those services. We're not a real abortion clinic. We're a church. So they want to make that government mandated. And then they also want to completely destroy your civil rights and put you on a national registry if you dare get pregnant. So that means we have to, you know, it's if you don't, you know, voluntarily, you know, register, I'm pregnant in this thing, you know, you'll be, you know, say you try to like hide from the government, they'll track you down. And this is, of course, the reason why they do this is in case you cross state lines to a state that still respects your human rights as a woman and you dare get an abortion against Katie's demands here, she's going to arrest you for fucking murder. You think I'm fucking with you? Think I'm lying? This shit's already happened. I think there's already one case in Texas. The judge threw it out. They brought it right up to the judge, though. Oh, she got an abortion. Oh, she got pregnant. She got an abortion. She murderer. She's a murderer. Took it right to the judge. I reported on it. This is your life under these maniacs. And yes, they are maniacs. True fascists. This is your life. Welcome back, DJ Shay. Kissing Gonzo, if I haven't said it already. This is your new overlord. This is your new daddy. This is what they are. You know what's interesting? If the guy with the pistol that Rittenhouse shot in the arm was as cold-blooded as Rittenhouse was, Rittenhouse would be dead. And the guy with the pistol would be in jail for life. I guarantee it. Because he was a lefty. That's what's interesting to me. If we covered this extensively, you don't know what I'm talking about. Rittenhouse shot a insane person, seemingly fresh out of a mental hospital, with a fucking plastic bag. He was swinging around calling Rittenhouse the N-word. So Rittenhouse wastes that guy in self-defense, and is strutting down the street. People thinking he's a mass murderer. People thinking he's a mass shooter. Then I'm not quite sure on the timing. Does he kill the skateboard guy first, or does he shoot the guy with the pistol in the arm? But anyway, the guy with the pistol is like 2 feet away, and the guy with the pistol, instead of shooting Rittenhouse, converges, closes, basically tries to de-escalate. Even though he's got his pistol out, he's like getting closer to Rittenhouse when he could have shot him right where he stood. I always find it interesting that if that guy with the pistol was as cold-blooded as Rittenhouse was and shot a 17-year-old boy, instead of converging, what would have transpired? Would the right have had come to Mr. Pistol's defense? Do we think that? Do we think the right would have been like, well, it was self-defense. He was shot in the arm by Rittenhouse. That's his rights. Isn't it funny? We covered the trial of Rittenhouse very closely. It was one of the most biased miscarriages of justice I've ever seen in my life. I've never in my life seen a judge ask for a selfie. And of course, the gun was given back to him. Thankfully, he had the right frame of mind at that time to melt the gun down. He probably regrets that. But like I said before, I'm just curious. Do we honestly feel like that left-winger, had he been as cold-blooded as Rittenhouse was, gunning down and killing 2 people, injuring 1? Had that lefty with the pistol had been just as heartless as Rittenhouse and gunned down a 17-year-old, would he be walking free, getting a selfie from the judge? So anyway, these pathetic cowards, members of Meal Team 6, Kyle Rittenhouse, will soon be our new overlords. So, there's something in Iran called morality police, where they basically deputize characters like Kyle Rittenhouse. Pudgy extremists with a chip on their shoulder with women, and, they got a bunch of problems in their life. So they're given authority to strut around town and harass women. That's what the morality police do. You're not wearing your hijab and bet right. You're not doing this right. And of course, they harass men as well, who maybe they look effeminate or something. But it's mainly women. If you don't think these fascist, authoritarian, theocratic fucking idiots don't want to impose the kind of shit that we see in other theocratic dictatorships, why? Because they like hot dogs and apple pie? And they salute the fucking American flag? You don't think they want to put your ass in chains? Look how pathetic this piece of shit is. He's got to force the law for people to treat him with respect. Because he can't get respect in the real world. Look at him. Your new overlords. If we don't stop this. Yeah, and here comes the usual Kyle Rittenhouse defense bullshit. That trial was a miscarriage of justice. And I think, and I honestly, I wish there was like a court TV or some a group of lawyers that were independent, nonpartisan as best they can be, and analyze that trial, because God damn it, I've never seen such ridiculous nonsense. The judge literally questioned whether the pinch and zoom feature on the iPad could have, changed things. A device that he's used for murder trials dozens and dozens and dozens of times. A feature that he's used probably hundreds of times in a myriad of other cases. And all of a sudden, this magic Apple technology to zoom in on a video could be changing things using AI and predictive frame skipping and all this. Moving on. Won't go into it any further. Moving on. Thank you for your comments. I've been reading them. Thank you. I'm reading them. Trump appointed USPS Postmaster General draws Republican rebuke. So this is interesting. Trump installed a ghoulish character. Yeah, DJ Shay, this last thing. Thank you. But Trump installed a ghoulish character called DeJoy, General Louis DeJoy, as the USPS Postmaster General. I guess Joe Biden, he tied both hands behind his back, and then he looked the other way, and I don't know. I guess he can't change anything. I guess there's just jack shit you can do, huh? And you can let this partisan ghoul, and that's what he is, man. Throws all the rules out. So what is he trying to do? He's trying to make the USPS worse so that it will somehow benefit. I guess the calculation is that this will benefit the Republicans during the election. Talking about mail-in voting. But here's the thing about mail-in voting. It benefits Republicans almost as much or just as much as Democrats. It kind of depends on the cycle. In fact, usually I believe it's right-wingers that benefit more from mail-in voting normally. But of course, during COVID, we saw an uptick of mail-in voting from lefties and liberals. So Donald Trump has come out and he has actually made several contradictory statements. You know, when it was early in the election after he lost, post-election, it's mail-in voting, it's total fraud. And then they lost a midterm, and they were like, oh, well, mail-in, everyone vote. Mail-in voting, so great. Right-wingers, it allows right-wing old people to vote for me. The contradictory statements. So we have DeJoy. I guess he didn't get the fucking memo. Taking a fucking shit on our USPS postal system in an attempt to hobble mail-in voting, I guess. You got to put in the law that says that, you cut the voting off at 12 o'clock for this to work, by the way. All this does is make you look like a stupid partisan asshole. That's slowing everything down. Because it's about the post date, right? It's about the date on the when it was actually mailed. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get to the destination. If it takes an extra month, they still have to count the vote because it was put in the mail at the right time. Isn't that how it works? Anyway, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump during his last year in office, is receiving rare backlash from Republican lawmakers from his handling of the U.S. Postal Service. A group of 26 U.S. senators, including 13 Republicans representing states with larger rural areas, sent DeJoy a letter this week demanding that he works to, quote, improve service immediately. And he's doing this intentionally. If you think this is, incompetence, or he's just trying and he's getting the woke liberals are pushing up against him, that's not the case. This is intentional. And quote, restore status quo operations as much as practicable. Hate that word. In locations where his cost-cutting measures have resulted in significant delivery delays, right? Because that's what the Republicans always say. Oh, we're going to save you money. We're going to save you, we're going to cut this, cut that, save money, implying that you're somehow going to get that money back, that your fucking taxes are somehow going to go down. They don't really promise that, do they? They just kind of imply that, we're going to cut. Yeah, great. So I can, I might as well bring a tent to the DMV and it takes 6 months to get a passport processed. The senators argued that areas where USPS service has recently been challenged under DeJoy's, quote, Delivering for America initiative have suffered, quote, critical delays for mail that requires overnight delivery, with the possibility of on-time deliveries, quote, for critical mail like medications and laboratory tests having been, quote, eliminated in some areas. So on top of the election delays and the election stuff, what this is also about is Republicans who, they say the system is broken, then they get into power and then they break it. And they say, see, look how broken that shit is. This is part of that ruse. Okay. Louis DeJoy probably has stock in FedEx and a bunch of other private shipping companies. And of course, what's the Republican wet dream? Privatize all of this. Why don't we just let Elon Musk run our mail? Right? X-mail. Everyone pays a premium, but it becomes cheaper. It's magic. It's so great. Except then when the system's actually implemented, what do you mean it's going to cost me $15 to mail a letter? Oh, yeah, mailing a 10-pound package? That'll be $293. What the fuck happened? Oh, well, private corporations took over this entire operation, you know, lock, stock, and barrel. So now we can just charge you whatever we want. I mean, literally, there's nothing else you can do unless you want to just drive your package to its location. That would probably actually be cheaper at a certain point. We did the math on that. We kind of put our, you know, $5 cheaper than just getting in your car and driving there. Don't worry, we'll get that fixed. We'll raise those gas prices nice and high so you can't afford to do that either. And look, I'm voting Joe Biden. I don't like it. Okay? But you're telling me Joe Biden can't do shit? There's not an impeachment process. There's nothing. There's not an investigation. There's fucking nothing Joe Biden can do. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick and fucking tired of the neoliberals putting both hands behind their backs and pretending that they're fucking Rocky. Not even swinging a punch. Not even getting on. You can't blow off your bully pulpit, the fucking crust of dust about 3 fucking centimeters thick. Blow the dust off your bully pulpit. Talk some shit about this guy. You can't even do that, Joe? What are you doing in there, man? What are you doing in that house? Moving on. I thought this was cute. I don't know if this is true. I'll take it as word, but it's from fucking Twitter, so, you know, grain of salt. I got a feeling this is true. I know this one's true. But this is the state of the Supreme Court. I would like to mention once again, the neoliberals, there's a process for adding more seats to the Supreme Court. It's not easy. Have you heard a single fucking breath about it from the neoliberals, from the DNC, from the left, from anybody about adding more seats? It's always some, I've seen it mentioned very briefly on mainstream media sometimes as some wild and crazy hypothetical that could never happen. Well, guess what? We're in a wild and crazy, unprecedented situation. It's time to bust out these rules. Right-wingers in Arizona pulled out a law before they were a fucking state to ban abortion. And their Supreme Court said, yep, that's good enough. We got the Democrats, both hands behind their backs, not even talking about it. Okay, I get it. It's hard. You got to meet all these thresholds and get all these votes. You need all this. But we're not even going to talk about it. Adding more seats to this obviously corrupt and partisan court that is ruining our fucking lives. What are we going to do about these fucking crooks? Oh, I guess we're just going to wait it out and hope everything gets better. That's not an answer that I accept, Joe Biden. Do something, you fuck. Speaking of fucks, here's another nepotism case that we're going to have to be dealing with in a few years if we're not careful. The kind of Neros that would get installed into power once a dictator, you know, because all you need to do if you're Lauren Boebert is please the king. And I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Flip John, it turns into a whole episode of Dynasty. Yeah, ribbons. Precisely. I'm reading your comments, guys. Great comments. But look at this piece of shit. Lauren Boebert's son, Tyler Boebert, still hasn't gotten a lawyer for his theft case. Quote, I've gotten a lot closer on working things out. This motherfucker shows up to court first time. No, he's like, I don't know, dude. I don't got anything. I didn't hire nobody. I don't know. Judge is like, okay, we're delaying this for like a couple weeks or something. Come back, you know, when you got your shit together. Comes back. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about it. I don't know. If you want to get into the salaciousness of this, feel free. I'm not going to waste my time. going to move on pretty quickly. But the thing I wanted to press here is that these are the mediocre fucksticks that will be put into power without any choice of our own. Look at the Saudi royal family. Beyond mediocre. Put into the highest levels of power. Bella is the Chechen leader. What's his nuts? Putting his son in as a general. Fresh off the Call of Duty battlefield. Gives him full bars and stripes. Once again, we have to put our foot down, and we have to engage in the 3-step program to create political change, or we are fucked. Moving on. Some fucking good news. Some fucking good news. What? I'm here to be depressed. I'm here to be pissed off. What is this? Sorry, but I have some good news. Steve Bannon will go to jail as he loses appeal on contempt of Congress charges. Fucking yes. Where's Sean Paul? Sean Paul! Hey, there's Pitbull! Go Pitbull! All right. Worldwide. A federal appeals court denied former Trump advisor Steve Bannon's appeal of his conviction of contempt of Congress for defying a House subpoena from the House January 6th committee. So if you're not sure what the hell, remember the January 6th committee where the left-wing neoliberals put a bunch of right-wingers in charge of investigating the right-wingers that committed treason? And they did a, half-assed job. It wasn't too bad. Definitely some interesting evidence that was collected, sent over to the federal authorities and to the FBI and all others, so where it could die a slow death and nothing comes of it. And, Donald Trump might be innocent of everything. Well, anyway, one of the slime balls who's been bragging about how he's, I fucking stood up to the deep state. I stood up to the deep state. Not watching the Trump rally live stream? What's going on? Loading that. But no, Steve Bannon was basically saying, I stood up to the deep state and, I wasn't going to testify against Daddy Trump. I love him more than anything. And it seemed like this was another case of the neoliberals and Merrick Garland, the Attorney General Merrick Garland, doing jack shit about an obvious criminal spitting in the face of justice. So to kind of catch you up with the story here, and this is, finally his flagrant disregard for the law, because when the Congress, the one power that these assholes had was the power to subpoena, and they did subpoena Steve Bannon, and he did break the law by not showing up. They could then choose to go forward, to proceed, or to back off. They chose to go forward, which was a nice change of pace. Paving the way for his 4-month jail sentence to begin, though he could still delay his jail term. 4 months? What a pussy. Just get it over with, Steve. If you get in there right now, you could get out in time for the election, buddy. 4 months? What a bitch. Just get it over with, you seditious traitor. So anyway, not going to read every fucking detail of this. It's good news. He's going to try to delay, do whatever he can, but he's got to serve 4 months. He's got to. So enjoy it, you whiskey-soaked motherfucker. It's actually going to be the best thing for his health. 4 months of eating right and getting exercise might actually keep him alive another couple years. Look at this guy. His insides look worse than my fucking heart. My beating black heart. No, who am I kidding? I'm such a libby lefter. I care too much. That's my problem. I care too much. I've seen it. It's black. Now, who am I kidding? Steve Bannon wears 5 shirts. Why? Oh, that's a great point. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got an overcoat that possibly one underneath here. No, I'm just making fun of myself. I know I'm edgy. I can't help it. That's literally who I am. This is who I am, dude. I don't turn this shit off. This doesn't go away. All right, so there you go. That's what's up with the fascists. Hope you enjoyed that. Fuck those motherfuckers. Got a quick update. UK news. Quick update. Yeah. God save the Queen. Yeah. Yeah, God save the Queen, bruv. Anarchy in the UK, bruv. No. So this is kind of a follow-up to yesterday's clips that I was showing about this flip. But her name was Natalie. I couldn't remember her name at the time. Natalie Elfkey. Hardcore anti-immigrant Tory, build that wall, blow up the boats. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but you know what I mean? The little boats, the little boats, the little boats. Oh, God save the king. Oh, it's true. He does need the help of God. Homie's got, it's so funny. He gets the kingship like 5 minutes before he hits. It doesn't seem like he was too interested in doing anything of importance with it anyway, though, so it's probably a good thing that he's on death's door. Anyway, we won't get into that, but no, this is a follow-up to yesterday's discussion about this, about how there's what would have been nice to see from the Labor Party would have been well, look, we don't have much, she defected, it gives us more power, that's a good thing. I don't, the party doesn't agree with her previous views. I don't, personally speaking, don't agree with their views. We didn't see that. We didn't see that from the Labor Party. What we saw was, oh, she's great. Oh, yeah, her previous scandals and her previous bigotry. Yeah, that's really, unfortunate, but we're listening. And basically a bunch of fucking nonsense about, not really addressing the conflict that this woman, has her entire career. She was standing against the supposed ideals of the Labor Party, and now she just flips the script and she's like, oh yeah, this party's better. What does that say about the Labor Party? And honestly, this is exactly what happened in the United States with the neoliberals. A really early tell was when they started to support blue dog Democrats who were not only pro-corporate and basically right-wingers on the economic level, but they started to become right-wingers on the social level as well, being anti-abortion. And we saw Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats and the DNC itself making excuses for these people. I believe Joe Manchin was one of those people, if I recall correctly. Maybe not. But it's a very similar thing where it's like, well, the party is actually, technically we're already pretty right-wing. Already. So why not just start embracing these people that want to switch over? Chuck Schumer, I think, is a great example. He used to be a, hardcore right winger, built his whole career on that, jumped ship, and now he's a left wing hero, supposedly on MSNBC. But anyway, I'm kind of seeing similar transformation over here by Keir Starmer. A lot of people think it's strategic. A lot of people think, he's playing a game, and then once he gets into power, he's going to be a libby lefty and reverse the Brexit and make things cool again. And, and don't be too scared by this right-wing churn. This is just him being strategic. I don't think so. I think we're dealing with a new Labor Party that no longer reflects the original views, the charter, all that stuff, that they supposedly care about. No, I think what we're dealing with is kind of similar to what we're seeing in Canada, this transformation into these pro-corporate neoliberals that are beholden to the oligarchy and the military-industrial complexes of their various countries. That's what I'm worried about. So hopefully I'm wrong. Let's get this clip here from LBC, and you'll see it's just a regular person calling in and expressing their frustration.
And I think there'll be thousands and thousands of people, like members or former members of the Labour Party, that have left anyway from Keir Starmer.
No, Clutch Cargo. I did not cover
a lot of, say, centre-left
Thanks for that
actual
update.
Labour MPs from the party anyway. This woman has got... What socialistic ideals has she got? I don't see any. I think...
Yeah, socialism's not a bad word in the UK, guys. It's actually something that they want and they actually demand from their politicians. You shouldn't be so scared of the word either, but we'll move on.
People just have to look at her voting record. She's very right-wing. I mean, she was against the, as you say, about the trade union members. The Labour Party was founded from trade unions, very much set up for just the working class, ordinary working people to have a voice.
That's what people think when they think of the Labour Party, and then they look at Keir and they're like, he like stands for 2 out of 5. It's like he's like, you know, the rest he's willing to compromise on.
She don't seem that they should be able to. I don't think, and I'm glad she's not standing. I'm absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, just a little clip from that. Of course, if you want the bigger one, you just head on over to LBC. Great channel. Heavily recommend you subscribe. Absolutely wonderful news media channel. You know, I could go without Nick Ferrari. I'm good, Nick. I'm good. You know, it's funny how the right wing can be so consistently wrong over and over and over and over again, and yet we still got to let them, you know, we still got to pretend like they know what they're talking about, you know. With that said, Nick Ferrari, I wish, you know, if I had to choose between Tucker Carlson and Nick Ferrari, I'm picking Nick. Okay, that's what I'm saying. But I just find it interesting that, like I said, these right-wingers could be so fucking wrong over and over and over again. They were so insistent, and they were really crabby, you know, really snotty about it, calling us Ramoners and just really, you know, we're not, you know, patriotic, and just every trick in the book, totally fucking wrong, totally eating crow. And they still get to, every day they get on the radio like, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about. And what do you mean? It's totally ridiculous. Your liberal ideals were so wrong throughout history. It's like, wasn't everything you believe in basically Brexit? And how disastrous has that been? Why do I still need to listen to you? It reminds me of how after, you know, the Bush debacle, you know, about 6 months later, we started seeing Donald Rumsfeld and a bunch of these other Bush era idiots on TV. Sorry, got a little spitty. All right, so moving on. Ukraine time, y'all. Resolving verbal disputes is to explain your core motives up front from the start when communicating. Wow, kissing Gonzo. You should write a book, buddy. Hard to disagree with that. Some people will change their values, faith, and beliefs like billionaires change socks, brand new every day. Yeah, well, you know, one of the reasons why they feel comfortable doing that, people who don't have principles, they just move on that, because there's no punishment. We live in the lap of luxury. There's no, you know, you could be a completely despicable person, believe in completely despicable things, and then you just get to go to the grocery store and, you know. And I'm not saying we should have a police state, minority report, and thought crimes. But I do find it interesting. You know, it's kind of like it goes back to that Mike Tyson thing about how everyone talks like they haven't been punched in the face before. You know? Reality hasn't hit them in the face. And it's kind of the same thing with a lot of people and what they consider principles. A lot of Kyle Rittenhouse characters. But honestly, we see that amongst the left as well. No one really believes that if you don't stand for anything, you'll die for nothing. No one really believes that. And that's not no one, but more people need to get hip to that vibe. I believe. That's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm trying to do. Ukraine update. Ukraine repeals surprise Russian attack in Kharkiv region. We got good news and bad news today. But the good news is really good news. All right. We're not going to be discouraged by the bad news. Preface that, but let's get into it. Ukraine repels surprise Russian attack in Kharkiv region.
Hello and welcome to Verified Live. We start.
Man, that is a fucking news entrance, man. I'd kill for a news entrance. Look at that. I mean, the fucking music, the zoom, action, baby.
Hello and welcome to Verified Live. We start this hour in Ukraine because President Zelensky says a fierce battle is underway in the Kharkiv region after Russia launched a surprise attack. Small groups of troops with armoured vehicles pushed through the front lines. Military sources say they advanced about a kilometre before being pushed back. There are reports of sustained Russian shelling. Ukraine's defense ministry says reinforcements have been sent to the region. Here's President Zelensky.
Russia started a new wave of offensive actions in the Kharkiv region. Ukrainian forces met them there with brigades and artillery fire. It's important to understand that they can increase and bring more forces in this direction. It is a fact.
Let's go straight to Kyiv and our Ukraine correspondent James Waterhouse. And James, tell us more, because as I was saying there, this appears to have taken Ukraine by surprise.
Well, I think Kyiv would disagree with that. I mean, what they are saying, Matthew, is that we were anticipating an operation such as this, but they are nevertheless having to move reserve troops into this part of the northeastern Kharkiv region. And it's really centering, it seems, around the town of Vovchansk, where 3,000 people live and are currently being evacuated. It has long been anticipated for the past few weeks that Russia is going to try and mount some kind of offensive in this area. Around 35,000 troops are thought to have gathered.
I like Zelensky. I don't agree with every move, but I think the anti-corruption stuff has been really great and really consistent. I think he's the right leader for the time. I do think he's too concerned. The big thing that I disagree with him on is that he's very, very concerned with his popularity because he believes in democracy, which is very refreshing. But here's the thing, Zelensky, you got to enter a total war stance. Russia's economy is cranking is almost a total war stance, kind of a shadow total war stance. But they've basically shifted their economy into this, into this war effort. And Zelensky, quite frankly, needs to give the Ukrainians some bad news and say we're in this fight for a while. And that means we got to shift our priorities, and we got to become, we got to hunker down, and we got to sacrifice more to do this. Really, though, I think big decisions are going to be made after the U.S. presidential election, because if you're Zelensky, you don't want to say anything definitively until you know who's going to be in that seat, until you know what the aid packages are going to look like in the next 2 to 5 years, right?
Across the border inside Russia. I think we are some way short of that, but Moscow's been pretty upfront about its desire to establish a so-called buffer zone to try and increase the gap between their respective troops, because Ukrainian forces have increasingly been shelling the Russian region of Belgorod, to the slight nervousness of some Western allies. So clearly Russia wants to increase that gap, but of course fighting is about shaping as well. And if you have these Russian forces drawing Ukrainian troops and trying to make further incursions, and if they were to deploy those troops further behind, then it could amount to something more. But I don't think many in Ukrainian or Western circles are expecting the city of Kharkiv itself, the country's second biggest city, to fall, as well as cities like Sumy, simply because of the number of Russian troops we're talking about and the losses that Russia, as well as Ukraine, have sustained so far.
James, just briefly, where are we when it comes to weapons? We know that finally that deadlock in Washington was broken recently, but where are we when it comes to Ukraine actually defending itself?
It's a bit murky at the moment. We know some of that Western help is arriving. We don't know what. One would imagine it would be mostly artillery shells, because the Americans had stockpiles in Europe itself. They needed for the guns. But this unlocking of Western aid won't be realised immediately. And even once it all arrives, so those medium-range missiles, those air defence systems to counter Russian air superiority, Ukraine's goal for now is to simply stabilise the front line.
That's right. And quite frankly, they're doing a spectacular job, okay? And that's not me talking as some kind of shill here. That's me looking at the raw numbers, and we're going to be getting to the numbers very soon. So if you're guffawing and you're typing as hard as you can, how the fuck do you know? I don't fucking know, but there are people who do know, who are following this, and they could. And what have we been seeing? For every 1 foot the Russian army steps forward, it costs them thousands of soldiers, millions of rubles in equipment. So the gains are not spectacular. This is a surprise attack. They were expecting something, but they were not. You can never be sure where. You can't have the same amount of troop buildup on every square inch of Ukrainian territory. They were ready to react. They reacted immediately to buttress that and reduce the effectiveness of this, and they did a fucking fantastic job. All right, I have evidence now. I think after this next video, we'll get into a military analysis here. There's clear evidence that the support from the U.S. is there, and it's immediately changing the battlefield reality. So let's not go totally doom and gloom here, but also let's not become delusional. Crux is very pro-Russian. I've been a little disgusted with them. With that said, I looked up this Business Insider article that they're referencing. That does appear to be legitimate. So this does appear to be real information. So we're not going to hide from the truth. And what I have to say about this is fuck you, Mike Johnson, and fuck you to all the haters and delayers who have bought time for Russia to develop and deploy countermeasures that are now changing the battlefield reality once again. We could have had Ukraine's back when the Russians didn't know what to do about the drones and didn't know what to do about all this new warfare. We could have had their back fully, but we hemmed and hawed and worried about escalation. And now we're stuck in and now we're getting closer to what a quagmire might be, actually. Okay? We had a clear advantage. And instead of capitalizing on that, what did Joe Biden do? He wasn't a leader about it. He was basking in the glory, but he wasn't a fucking leader. And this is what we have, and this is what we have now. We've escalated. We've already escalated. We've escalated well past those red lines that he didn't want to cross when he was biding his time. Biden, get it? But anyway, that's the preface. I know Crux is basically propaganda, but it's a video. The information's correct. We got to watch it. Sorry. Yeah, Bert Stein, 100%. So it's really all about that presidential election. And I think what we're going to see from Zelensky is some hard decisions being made. You know, hey, sorry, Ukrainian people, but now that I know I got Joe Biden on my back and the U.S. military on my back, bad news. We're going to, we're shifting into a more total war stance. So we can finish the job and go back to living. Yeah, Bert. Maybe. There'll be a lot of people pulling out. Europe doesn't have the stomach for a long-term conflict like the U.S. does. So even the hardliners will start to, pull out. 100% kissing Gonzo. Yeah, so here's the countermeasures that they've been able to prepare. And we have seen these. We have seen evidence of, some of their equipment carrying some of these jammers. And apparently the Pentagon has acknowledged that these are starting to affect U.S. weapons and our targeting systems. There's no aspects. I mean, the problem, the biggest weakness with democracy is that it depends on the participation of its citizenry. And that's its biggest weakness, is our people's becoming comfortable and apathetic. You can have your democracy if you can keep it. That's the biggest weakness. But it's the best worst system because it's the most fair. It's one of the only systems where if you lose, it still feels like, well, I tried, and if there wasn't honest, ability to actually change that law or change that thing I don't like. Yeah. So thanks a lot, Mike Johnson. Thanks a lot, Joe Biden. Thanks a lot to all the right-wingers and bad actors and Twitter idiots talking about give up now, give up now, give up now. The Ukrainians are not giving up their entire country and identity, or part of their national identity, because it's inconvenient for you to talk about. Yeah, Estonian. So hopefully this isn't something bigger. Hopefully this is a bump in the road and it can be engineered around. But I was worried about this because, you know, we're talking about radio technology, folks. We're not talking about brand new communication technology. Drones use fucking Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla technology, okay, to function between its remote control and the goddamn device. It's very jammable. And and that's what we're starting to see, more of these countermeasures being implemented. And by the way, what's up with the sanctions? How come Russia has the ability to get the chips and gear to do this? China and India. How come we're not getting on that? We just recently sanctioned China. A little slap on the wrist. Once again, where's the leadership? The West, and Uncle Sam, where's the leadership? Spitting in our face. All right. So we've heard the bad news. Let's get to the good news. Ukrainians counterattacking, putting down solid defenses, making Russia pay for every step forward. And the numbers are insane. The numbers I showed you yesterday, 100 tanks to 7 tanks. Maybe, machines in general. But like I said before, if those were the kind of numbers that were, any army in World War II, Italy posting up those kind of numbers, Italy would have won the war. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to think that this is sustainable for Russia, and yet there's always another wave. And if they don't have the machines are on the train on the way over, they just send meat waves, as we saw yesterday. Just waves and waves and waves of dudes. Not Rambos, by the way. Think of the drunk townie at some small village, Yeah, okay, he's in and out of jail for fraud or whatever. Yeah, okay. Those kind of characters. I guess Russia has a lot of those dudes. I don't know, man. Apparently they've been emptying out villages and no one seems to care. I don't know what to say about Russian civilians who are letting this happen. Hundreds of thousands of good Russian men slaughtered. For fucking what? I ask. The callous nihilism of the Russian military shocks me every single time I report on it. Because if this was happening in the United States, we would see the normies in the streets about this. We would. Because CNN simply could not ignore the wailing from the families who would be seeing the footage, right? Because we got the footage of these Russians, getting creamed. Literally their last seconds, their final breaths. The drones catch it all. And if the U.S. public was seeing this, I don't know, man. When they saw what we were doing in Vietnam, they got pretty worked up, the normies. I don't know. But then again, we let Afghanistan stew for 20 years and didn't do jack shit, so I don't know.
Today there are a lot of developments in the Avdiivka direction. Here, Ukrainians have halted the Russian offensive and have started counterattacking with newly arrived US military aid. After the Russian breakthrough to Okeratina, Russians attempted to outflank the Ukrainian defenses to the west to solidify their control over their territorial gains. Ukrainians had established multiple lines of defense in front of their main headquarters in the area, the city of Pokrovsk. However, as it quickly turned out, even outflanking these defenses would not allow Russians to accomplish their goals in the west. While heavy fighting for Okeratina continued, Russians advanced toward the east into the settlements of Solovyove and Novobakhmutivka. Russians had good reasons to prioritize securing this flank first, to prevent a possible flanking counterattack from the Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade. Geolocated footage shows Bradley infantry fighting vehicles of the 47th Mechanized Brigade working on Russian positions and assault groups in Novobakhmutivka. Ukrainians also conducted constant artillery strikes, FPV kamikaze drone attacks and grenade drops on Russian infantry and positions in the area. A Ukrainian military blogger stated that while Russians eventually were able to take control over both Solovyove and Novobakhmutivka, the 47th Brigade had significantly slowed the advance of the far more numerous Russian forces in the area. Other Ukrainian military bloggers stated that the focus of Ukrainian forces in the area was to conduct a controlled withdrawal while preserving forces. They noted that Ukrainian commanders were closely monitoring the area with reconnaissance drones and did not allow their soldiers to become encircled or overrun.
Nice, nice.
Geolocated footage confirms this, as Ukrainians released.
That's of course not always the case, as we've seen in Bakhmut and Avdiivka. But all the same, it is good to see, you know, that being implemented in some places at least.
A multitude of combat footage showcasing evacuations of frontline troops with Bradley infantry fighting vehicles.
Kissing Gonzo, possibly.
These Bradleys are more heavily armored than regular transports and are able to provide covering fire while loading the infantry. After withdrawing from critical or dangerous positions, Ukrainian forces unleashed a barrage on Russian forces in Solovyove and Novobakhmutivka.
So, I mean, you know, the countermeasures are there, but I think the problem is that, you know, it's Russia, okay, you know, and we've definitely seen them using them in certain key battles, but there's no way they have enough money or resources to slap one of those jammers on every one of their T-70, you know, 1960s T-70 Cold War tank. We've seen them running around in golf carts and running around in, you know, consumer ATVs completely unarmored. They're not exactly slapping the countermeasures on those either. So while it's complicated things and you know, made things more unpredictable, it hasn't completely changed the face of the battlefield like the drones have. The drones have completely changed everything.
Geolocated footage shows Ukrainian drone operators engaging Russian tanks, APCs, and numerous groups of infantry east of Novobakhmutivka with FPV kamikaze drones. Ukrainians also conducted multiple FPV strikes on Russian armor and infantry in the settlements. Ukrainian drone operators started equipping their drones with heavier explosives to be able to target groups of Russian infantry hiding in the houses. Ukrainians continued these attacks day and night, performing a series of attacks on Russian infantry and armored troop transports with grenade drops and FPV kamikaze drones. Ukrainian artillery crews also targeted Russian reinforcements being dropped off with MT-LB amphibious personnel carriers. Ukrainians engaged these transports with artillery and finished off the infantry themselves with cluster munitions.
We've seen that.
Russian forces even attempted to break out of the Ukrainian kill zone, but were halted by anti-tank mines, instantly destroying the assault group. A Ukrainian military blogger stated that Russian forces have been unable to break through Ukrainian defenses here, adding that Russian losses in this direction were the highest alongside the Russian salient.
And they just send more.
As the Russian advance in this direction was completely halted, the Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade slowly started pushing the Russians back. Geolocated footage shows how a Ukrainian Bradley infantry fighting vehicle engaged a Russian T-80 tank with its tow-guided anti-tank missile, destroying the Russian tank.
So look at that, dude. American Bradleys, and wait till you hear about how the Bradleys have been expedited, and there's some proof to that. It's actually really interesting. But no, look at that. So, you know, Bradleys, they have, you know, kind of like a big chunky machine gun. And then they have these TOW missiles as well as kind of optional. Think of like the missiles you have on like Mech Warrior, right? Like on your shoulders, right? Kind of an optional thing. So here we see them in use, which is kind of rare. You don't really see them used too often, but here we see them super effective. Here's the missile right here after it's been fired from right down here from this Bradley. And as you can see here, the distance, you know, this guy, who knows what kind of tank he's in. You know, he's like lining up iron sights in his fucking Cold War tank.
Russian T-80 tank with the
T-80. So I don't know. Is that late 70s? Is that a late 70s design, the T-80s?
Tow-guided anti-tank missile, destroying the Russian tank on impact. Other geolocated footage shows a Bradley engaging a Russian armored transport vehicle, dropping off new Russian reinforcements. The Bradley's powerful automatic cannon opened fire.
So, these videos are widely available. Davey hasn't posted too many of them in the chat recently, but if you just go to Ukrainian Reddit, Ukrainian combat footage, or just the R combat footage section, you can see these uncensored videos, and they are as brutal as you think. A Bradley's can absolutely shred buildings and vehicles when you get a bunch of dudes piled on top of it, or even just around the area, and it's absolutely disgusting. Once again, I say to Russia, stop doing this to your people, and to the Russian soldiers, stand up to Putin to avoid this. This is so wildly unnecessary. I don't want to see it anymore.
On the Russian vehicle, destroying it almost instantly.
Yeah, kissing Gaza.
This left the Russian infantry stranded in the tree line, in full view of...
So here we see the first-person view, which is always crazy about this Ukrainian footage. We get the drone footage, first-person view, soldier footage. I mean, we've gotten 3-4 camera angles one time, in just a single battle, all edited together like some fucking action movie. So it's absolutely bananas. As we can see here, this is the first-person view from the Bradleys, and there's a little hint to what we're going to learn later if you look at the paint scheme here. But as you can see here, this is the target they were shooting at right here, and it's just absolute carnage. Boom, 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 and I'm talking, might as well be cannonballs. Absolute destruction. The people in the tank. Sometimes they're lucky. The Russian tanks will have enough armor to actually for the bullets to not penetrate. But if you could just imagine, I don't know, a building-sized hammer, smacking on your head every time one of those bullets hits the tank. Give you an idea of the kind of disorientation that these soldiers that are inside the tank are experiencing, on top of the absolute destruction that is happening outside of it. Welcome back, Leon. Unfortunately, we already covered the UK news, just a little follow-up there. But hopefully you're doing well. If you have any UK updates, I'd love to hear them.
Of the Bradley's weapon systems. Interestingly enough, if we look at the paint scheme of the Ukrainian Bradley, we can see that it is equipped with a desert-style camouflage. Western vehicles in Ukraine had previously been equipped with green camouflage, indicating that this Bradley has only just arrived and is part of the recent US aid package sent to Ukraine. Due to the critical...
They expedited that shit. It's still painted up like it's fresh out of Iraq, dude. It's fresh out of Afghanistan. Painted up after fighting the fucking Taliban and losing. Actually being used against a legitimate army in a legitimate conflict. Crazy, dude. Painted up like it's the fucking desert, strolling around Ukrainian forests. Oh, that's wild. That's fucking wild.
Shortages in weapon systems and munitions Ukrainians had been suffering from.
Kissing Gonzo.
There was no time to re-equip this Bradley with a new paint scheme, as it was urgently needed on the front line.
Hell yeah.
Overall, Russian forces attempted to overpower Ukrainian defenses by outflanking them from the east, but ended up in a kill zone. The Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade had carefully withdrawn from the area under cover from Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. During their retreat.
And that's been the strategy since Bakhmut, and things weren't great in Bakhmut, and of course things weren't great in the where was that the Machine Works area where several hundred Ukrainian soldiers were captured. I can never remember the name of that. Maybe Estonian can help me out. But is Lenny here? Where's Lenny? Oh, there he is. Greetings from south of Boston. It's your boy, Lenny. #1 financial contributor to the News Underground. Thank you, Lenny, for coming back. Folks, make sure you're liking and subscribing to Lenny. I shouldn't have to tell you why, but he's pretty awesome. But no, so this has been the strategy, for a while. Pulling back where they need, instead of, holding ground to the last man like some Stalin-esque nostalgia trip. Doing what they can to preserve the resources that they have while pulling out. It's actually one of the most difficult military moves I've heard. Retreating while fighting is actually one of the most difficult things a military can do. So, Ukraine does it where it's necessary, and they do it to preserve their most precious resource, the soldiers, which I can't disagree with.
They had prepared kill zones and anti-tank mines, which proved critical in halting the advance of a far larger Russian force. After severely undermining Russian combat capabilities with drones, mines and artillery in and around the two settlements, Ukrainian forces went on the offensive with newly arrived Western aid. In the future, as Western military aid continues to be delivered, Ukrainians will be capable of further depleting Russian forces.
So immediately changing the battlefield reality. Immediately. You gotta love it.
And performing more such counterattacks. This time with the correct paint scheme. Lastly,
yeah, great stuff. Oh, and there's a little update to reporting from Ukraine's here attack, the weaponization of the reporting tools on YouTube. There, some Russian troll farm or something was mass reporting his various channels. He apparently translates all this information into various languages and has different channels. So we actually have some good news on that as well.
When it comes to the second wave of the massive cyber attack on the reporting from Ukraine channels, I am pleased to tell you that your messages on Twitter helped to draw the attention of YouTube to the problem, and all our deleted channels were finally restored.
There we go.
If you're against
There we go. That's great news. Thank you if you followed the Twitter link that I put in the chat and retweeted that. Thank you so much if you did that. I do appreciate it. You're an absolute badass. If you did not do that, what can I say, man? You're kind of, that's not cool, bro. It smells like farts in here. That's not cool. But no, thank you so much. And make sure you're liking and subscribing to Reporting from Ukraine. Absolutely essential channel. And they're doing great work, I mean, do they sometimes avoid some of the bad news on the Ukrainian front line? Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I have noticed that there's gaps in what they report on. If you want the full picture, you can go to his Patreon or his Telegram channel, and he gives a more full picture. These videos do tend to focus on the battlefield victories of Ukraine. So that's the one bias that I've noticed that I'll point out. Other than that, this guy's totally rock solid. Loves it. So there you go. That's the update there. Just a few other pieces of Ukrainian news before we move on. I wanted to do that first instead of last this time because I thought there's some good news. Battlefield, we had such bad news on the battlefield yesterday. I wanted to show that there was some good news on the battlefield today. Very interesting stuff. We got a legitimate conspiracy. Zelensky fires bodyguard chief after arrest of 2 officers, 2 colonels detained on suspicion of plot to kill president. This is from Bloomberg. Yeah, go ahead. Bitcoin away. Go nuts. Start mining. Okay, look, I said okay, and now I can't read your article. I said okay, Bloomberg, now I can't read your article. So you know what I'm going to do, Bloomberg? We're going to go right around your bitch ass. Fuck you. I could be looking at ads from Bloomberg right now. Wait, did I? Oh, no, hold on. No, I didn't copy properly. There we go. But, I would be looking at ads from Bloomberg. You could have had some banner ads on the side. Now I'm going to cut all that shit out. Now I'm going to cut all that fucking nonsense out and read the article anyway. So what does that say about your fucking business model, Bloomberg? Oh, well, we're just going to use the government to go after this archive website and take it down. And then another one will pop up 5 seconds later because you're fucking idiots. So Bloomberg, change your business strategy. Every news organization that tries to hide your article from the public with your paywalls, it's not working. Monetize. Look, news needs to be monetized. You got to pay for news. I get it. But this subscribe to my every individual website is fucking bunk. No one's doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'll watch your ads. Oh, what about your ad blocker? Well, I'm okay if you nag me to turn off the ad blocker. Hey, we're trying to pay for our work here. All right, okay. I'll turn it off for you. That's the best you're gonna get. I'm not giving you $6 a month so I can click on a Bloomberg link every once in a while. What do you think I am, a fucking moron? Let me ask you something. Would a rich, cheap, you know how rich people are some of the cheapest motherfuckers in your life? You think rich people are subscribing to each individual fucking, you think they're doing that? No. Oh, no. Vladimir Zelensky dismissed the head of a unit that protects Ukraine's top officials following the arrest of 2 colonels who were allegedly involved in a Russian plot to assassinate the president. Circe Rudd, who was fired by a decree signed Thursday evening by Zelensky, had been in his post since 2019 and previously led the president's personal security unit. He survived in his position since the start of the Russian invasion in February 2022, despite multiple report attempts to kill the country's leader. Quote, intelligence said that there were already 10 attempts, Zelensky told Italian Raw 1 broadcaster in early March. Quote, I don't count. That's pretty Clint Eastwood right there. The interview took place soon after Zelensky and Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, oh no, I'm sorry, Polish people in my chat, appeared to be targeted in a Russian missile strike on the port of Odessa. Or Greek people in my chat, sorry. The detention on suspicion of high treason of the two colonels on the 7th of May, the day of Russian President Vladimir Putin's inauguration, were the first among high-ranking officers serving as lead protection bodyguards. The state security service known as SBU said it had foiled a plot to assassinate both the president and other high-ranking officials, including military intelligence chief Krylo Budanov and SBU chief Vasyl Malyuk. Quote, the terrorist attack, which was supposed to become a present to Putin on his inauguration, has turned into a failure of the Russian special service, Vasyl Malyuk, the SBU head, said in a statement. So that's interesting. They wanted to give a present to Putin, assassinate Zelensky on his inauguration day, or one of the top officials on his inauguration day. They caught it. Zelensky weeded him out, gave him the boot. And I'm surprised they're not in jail. Or these people honestly should be in jail. If they got rock iron proof, if they got real honest proof of some kind of conspiracy. I don't think you should let them run free if that's the case, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have enough proof, but enough suspicion, so he fires them, and then, keeps them under watch. Maybe that's the case. American intel tipped him off. Very possible. Zio Duke. Welcome back, by the way. No, kissing Gonzo. Ukraine, when it was a vassal state of Russia, it inherited the politics of Russia, i.e. incredibly corrupt. And that includes Zelensky during his, his early presidential run pre-invasion of Russia. He was friendly to an oligarch that helped support him. The election was legitimate, but at the same time there was a total embrasure of the corrupt Russian politics, because that was the only way to play the game. What we have seen since the Russian invasion is Zelensky either, if you want to be totally cynical, you can say this is just Zelensky placating the West so that he can continue this image of honesty, right, and continue this image of honorable image, so that the aid can keep flowing, and that it's harder and harder to criticize Zelensky. If you want to be cynical, you could say that. Quite frankly, I don't think that's the case. I think Zelensky does believe that there's too much corruption. I think he sees it as a weakness in his government, and I think I've covered 6 or 7 different initiatives by Zelensky since the start of the invasion, reforms against corruption. I personally think he sees it as a weakness. But either way, we've seen Zelensky attempting to change some of the patterns of corruption inside the Ukrainian government since being put in charge. All right, moving on to the next story. Ukraine's an oligarchy while Russia's a dictatorship. That's where the key difference is. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's fair to say pre-invasion that was absolutely the case, and I think right now, it'd be interesting to see what direction Ukraine would go in had the invasion not happened. Oh wow, you got this person right here in the bottom right. Have you seen this footage? Oh man, we got it. We're going to be getting to the Gaza stuff, but have you seen this footage of the quote-unquote victim? Okay, they're already moving away. All right, crazy footage. Speaking of crazy, I don't even get geopolitics anymore. I don't get it. Belarus dictator Lukashenko admits he is quote-unquote bonkers and has no quote-unquote red lines as he threatens the West with nukes and warns we are, quote, closer than ever to nuclear catastrophe. So am I getting this correct, that he's like the fucking Joker baby? I'm bonkers. You can't trust me. I don't have red lines. Am I interpreting that? Is that hyperbolic? He doesn't even have access to those nukes. He's just hosting Russian nukes. Media companies are giving too much credit to some of these nutters. Welcome back, Carl Toes. Yeah, I mean, a nuclear war is not possible. Russia understands. Look, as unhinged as Putin, and I've said this before, say Putin goes full blown Hitler, right? And and is like push the button. I don't think his military would let him do it. At that point, they'd be like, look, guys, do you want to exist? You know that home you go back to? Remember that family you go back to? Are we going to die for this guy? You know, like, it's one thing to send some schmuck that we got from some village somewhere off to die on the Ukrainian front lines. Do you want to die? So even if Putin doesn't understand mutually assured destruction, I think the Russian, those that are in charge of the Russian military, those that are actually in charge of the nukes in Russia, understand that. With that said, are nukes on the table? Yes, and that should frighten people. 5%, 10%, who knows what the actual percentages are? But are nukes on the table? Yes. So it doesn't really help when quote-unquote bonkers Belarusian dictator Lukashenko says he has no red lines and I'm the Joker, baby. Nematode, thank you for sticking around. I'm surprised to still see you here. Looks like you enjoy real news. Thanks for sticking around. I'm the Joker, baby. Hey, wow, great website. Does this work? It's not muted. It's literally just a video. Is this the nuke? I guess this is the video of the nuke, guys. Oh, that son of a bitch. Oh my God. Something sexual about that nuke. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna let that hang in the air. Something a little sexual about this nuke. It's getting all, it's getting all squeezed into its little space, all tight and comfy. You know? A hot dog going into a bun. Okay, are you guys disgusted now? Are you good? The News Underground's real information. All right, let's see Amy Goodman talk about the sexual implications of this phallic object. Let's see Amy Goodman do that, huh? I grossed. Unhinged. Wow, listen to this. Who is this? DailyMail.com. Okay, not exactly unbiased. Unhinged dictator of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, has admitted he is quote-unquote bonkers and has no red lines as he threatens the West with nuclear weapons given to him by Vladimir Putin. And yeah, no, they weren't given to him. It's Putin trying to threaten the West, parking missiles right on the border. Go ahead. I mean, look, it will be horrific and the loss of Ukrainian life will be devastating. But no, Putin, go ahead and do it. That would end the war. That would be it. A couple months later, we'd be wrapping it up. And I guess we'd be talking about, okay, who owns Moscow now? The fucking ashes of Moscow. Honestly, because this is what would happen. If Putin launches a single nuke, the West and the United States would not respond with a nuclear weapon. They would respond with probably the largest united airstrike, Western coalition airstrike, NATO, everyone ever seen in history. That's likely what would happen. If multiple nukes were launched, it's bye-bye Moscow. Come on. What are we talking about here? It's bye-bye Moscow. And in a couple months later, it's okay, who's in charge of the no man's land that used to be Moscow? Who's technically in charge of this nuclear wasteland? His rant came as Russian and Belarusian forces carried out tactical nuclear weapons drills, claiming the West is threatening them. Like that kid with the boot on his face, right? Quote, we're closer than ever to a nuclear catastrophe, said Lukashenko, 69, who maintains his grip on power after rigging a presidential election and brutally quashing protests in 2022. Even though the Daily Mail is biased, this is 100% fact. We're not planning to attack anyone, but everyone should understand that we will hit back. Yeah, okay, cool. No problem. We're done. We're not talking about nukes. No one's you only want to talk about nukes, dude. That's fine. We're just kicking your ass with conventional weapons and literally toy robots while you try to steal our toilets. And quote, all the chatter, Putin is pushing Lukashenko, and then he's about And then about me, he's bonkers and he has no red lines. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is kind of a quote taken out of context. So he was being flippant. He was trying to say, oh, everyone thinks I'm bonkers and I have no red lines. They're absolutely, oh, wow, okay, but no, okay. No, that isn't taken out of context. They're absolutely right in saying so. I am far from stupid, but I have no red lines. Okay, all right, buddy. You go ahead and do that, chap. You go ahead, sport. You so much as fart out a chemical weapon, fucking, cloud even once, and you're giving NATO all it needs. Moving on to the next story. I want to take a listen to that speech in Russian. 1 sec. Okay. Russian people need to be informed. Their lives depend on it. Yes. True. Chem Goblin is right as well. I mean, they have access to the uncensored internet. Every Russian knows how to get past those firewalls. So there is that. But I mean, what good is knowing the truth when knowing the truth gets you fired, gets you thrown into a gulag, gets your life ruined, gets you thrown into kangaroo court, plastered on Russian media as a traitor to your country. So, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, I know how to get that information, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to know the truth. That's what a dictatorship is. That's what it looks like. So I'm not going to dig too much into this. I don't have too much knowledge about Polish politics. I know they're generally right-wing, and of course they do support Ukraine and have been warning us about Russia from the very beginning. But I think this is a sign that, they're... Because we have the narrative, and then we have the reality. And I think when you see stuff like this, concrete changes, we got Poland, digging trenches on the border with Russia and Belarus. It's a sign that, this isn't just posturing. This isn't just, rhetoric. That this is a legitimate concern. And that, the Polish government feels like it's, maybe it's highly unlikely because we're a member of NATO, but it's on the table. It's on the table. And so that's what I wanted to bring up with this article. That it's kind of frightening that, because all the bluster is true. NATO would kick Russia's ass. I don't want to see it, though. I'd really would prefer this stay in Ukraine. We assist Ukraine in pushing Russia back to its borders. They, then Putin has to lick his wounds and try to tell, his public, lie to his public as to why his bitch ass wasn't able to even invade his small neighbor, 1/10 the size of his country. That's what I would rather have to deal with is a pissed off and slighted Russia who feels like whatever they feel, the victimhood complex that they would have for themselves, the pity party, but ultimately bowing to the power of the West. Which is an unfortunate thing for me to say as a massive critic of the military-industrial complex. But look, it's the devil you want to deal with. Do I want to deal with a Chinese dictatorship controlling the world's global currency? No. Do I want Russia in the driver's seat of that? No. I'd rather deal with the broken democracy in America and the dollar than any of the other frightening alternatives. Trigger warning here. This is a picture from a funeral, and this is a Ukrainian hero. If you don't want to see a dead body in a coffin, please look away now. I'm going to show this right now. 3, 2, 1. But I wanted to show this here to remind everybody that this is no fucking joke. And we got heroes dying on the front lines. When defeatists like Mike Johnson play politics, it's people's lives who are sacrificed, and it's fucking despicable. Because what do we have here? A Ukrainian buried with all of the things that he loves, and what is he being buried with? McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Oreos, and a smattering of other things. Looks like, some kind of milk or pancake mix, I'm not sure. So young. And he died for democracy. He died for the existence of Ukraine, because that is what's on the table. This is an existential fight for Ukraine's future. And he gave up his life so that the rest of the Ukrainians can live free. And it's just so striking to me that he's buried with, you know, this kid's more American than me. I was born in America. This kid's getting buried with a Happy Meal. That's about as American as it gets. So if sons of bitches like Mike Johnson want to say that, you know, what are we spending our money on? And what a waste. And, you know, this is just, you know, someone else's war. No, motherfucker, this is our war. So RIP to a true hero. Didn't get his name. I'll try to get his name. If someone can get his name, it'd be great. But yeah, man. Fuck you, Mike Johnson. And the fucking games that you played. RIP. All right. Moving on from that. You know, I knew it was going to be heavy ending that segment in Ukraine there with that photo. Sorry again if that triggered you. Seeing the reality of war. But I wanted to lighten it up a bit, and I saw this video, and it made me laugh out loud, and I just couldn't help myself. So we're going to show you that. No, this is not. It's not pertaining to Gaza. It's not. No, it's not that. But no, this is just a funny video. I just thought, you know, kind of eye bleach a little bit. You know, that was really heavy. Thank you for sticking around. Sorry about that. This is just a funny video. I thought this was really great. You know, we're talking about true heroes of the front line. You know, there's also some heroes in the back. So I thought I would show this little hero here taking care of business for his mommy. And it's just so funny to me.
Come on. I need you.
I got you.
You got me. Yeah. I need you to take care of that problem right there.
Here we go.
It's too big.
It's a big old bug.
You gonna hit it?
Get back.
Okay. Don't miss it.
Y'all get back.
Hurry up before he jump.
You're gonna jump, dude.
See that leg moving? I see. You see that leg moving?
Yes, ma'am.
Here we go.
I'm going ahead and ship him right there.
Handle it like a man, Spooter. You got these.
I got it.
What are you doing?
Nailed it. He nailed it. He nailed it. One more time. Let's get the action here. One more time.
A man, Spooter. You got these.
I got it.
What are you doing?
He's gone. He's gone. No, I just thought that was really funny. That was really cute. Yeah.
Come on.
That's all. I just thought it was so funny. Get back. I got it. Get back. I got this. So let me just look at this Mr. Warlord's comment here. Genocide, Israel options if Trump won. Genocide in Israel, bullies, nuclear war. My goodness, sir. This. Yeah, wow. Do you post that in other like more popular chats and you expect people to read that? That's a lot, man. I ain't reading all that. I ain't reading all that. It looked like an interesting comment. Mohammed Abbas, come for Gaza, Israel, hostage deal, permanent peace, 145, and American countries recognize two-state solution, Israel, right-wing government, left secular, blah, 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 blah. Jesus loves the schizo posters, guys. Hey, Bertstein, I do appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much. Have yourself a good day. Once again, great tie. Loving the tie, bud. Come back anytime. Thank you, Bert Stein. OG of the chat. He's been here a while. You ain't getting me. So I wanted to start off with this just because, you know, we were talking about the right-wingers earlier, and I just wanted to give you an example of the kind of performative nonsense that would actually become our life if we give these fascists actual power, if they get the dictatorship that they want so much, once the checks and balances are removed, this is the kind of whim that we would see from a Ron DeSantis, from a Greg Abbott, from a Donald Trump, who is a dictator, from a Matt Gaetz, right, who is sitting at the top of power. No more checks and balances, can't be checked. Supreme Court says you got to impeach me if you want me to go to jail for killing somebody. Pando dude, thank you for the follow. So this is the kind of extreme, insane, it could never happen here kind of whim that we would see decreed by these right-wing maniacs. Second here. 1 second, baby cakes. Thank you so much. Okay, you've been here before. Okay, you're a nice guy. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were being a dickhead. I'll untime you out. No, I don't know about the politician you're talking about. I thought you were a shill. I'm not sure about the politician you're talking about. Sorry about that, Pando dude. Sorry. I thought you were just a shill robot. My bad. I untimed him out. He's free. He can type. He's free to go. He's free to go. He's unjailed. Come on. Hey, come on. An honest mistake. Pando dude, don't leave. No, don't leave Pando. No. Oh, he's the Libertarian Party candidate? Oh. Okay, never mind. Okay. College anti-Israel agitators would be sent to Gaza under new House GOP bill. So like I said, totally ridiculous. Totally, just a wild whim. Obviously being used for partisan gain. First on Fox. Why did I say that? Oh my God, so embarrassing. No. First on Fox has a ban addiction. At least one ban every 30 minutes. True. I need to pump it in my veins, man. A new House Republican bill would send any person charged or convicted. First on Fox, a new House Republican bill would send any person charged and convicted for illegal activity on a college campus to Gaza for at least 6 months. Is there any criticism of this? Nope. So far, the bill is likely to face uncertain odds in the House, where Republicans hold a razor thin. So their only concern is that it's going to be stopped by the woke liberals. Wow. There's no criticism of how this is a First Amendment nightmare. I believe this is again the Constitution specifically says you can't do this. This is cruel and unusual punishment. This entire Fox New York Post article that it's just a repost from Fox News is literally just saying this is just normal stuff. This is how democracy dies. This is fascism right here. Hell yeah, Mozambique. Thank you so much over there in Kick. Love to see it. Wow, what's happening here? Ooh. Oh, you can't see that. So just give you an example. This is how fascism is going to be creeping into your lives. Just totally normal stuff. Quote from the politician, like it's a really serious thing. This is why I introduced legislation to send any person convicted of unlawful activity of a campus to American universities October 7th to Gaza to complete a minimum 6 months of community service. You just gonna dump them? Where? In the Gaza Strip? Where? Rafah? In a refugee camp? Yep, you bet. That'll show that woke liberal. So I guess you'd be okay with Joe Biden sending January 6 people to what? Fucking some libertarian hellhole place with all the pirates. Not Mongolia. I was gonna say Mongolia. But you know what I mean? Oh no, of course not. Oh no, Joe Biden, Senator, how dare you send those patriots, those poor victims? Well, that's where you want to go, right? Some libertarian hellhole, where it's all about, might makes right. And if you have enough power and money, you can rise to the top. Okay. Thank you, Panda. Appreciate it, bud. Have yourself a good day. Do we think Mr. Panda would be okay with Joe Biden, letting criminals off for their crimes? You know what I mean? Do we know? Oh, I love law and order. I thought those cops should be cracking the heads of the protesters. Should be sending them to Gaza, jail them so hard you literally exile them from the country. But when it comes to seditious traitors who absolutely on camera filmed it themselves, by the way, breaking the law, oh, I think they should all be released. That's a point of pride for me. That kind of blatant hypocrisy, that's a point of pride for me. Somalia, that was where I was thinking. Thank you, Mozambique. Some libertarian nightmare. But, and I'm supposed to keep that hypocrite in my chat, by the way, to the people that are defending this nonsense, right? Oh, you banned him. You banned him. Oh, you don't believe in free speech. Oh, not in the chat, dude. It's a privilege, not a right. My chat is not the fucking United Nations. You want to be a blatant hypocrite with a big smile on your face saying the most hypocritical things? Exactly what where's my boy Sart, exactly what Sart warned us about. You want to be exactly the prototypical person that Sart was warning about, the anti-Semite that doesn't believe in the rules of language. They get to play games with language. I'm going to let that shit roll in my chat? You're going to be the prototypical guy that Sart was talking about? I don't think so. The fuck out. Moving on to the next here. What I find interesting about the White House withholding weapons temporarily is that they really didn't want to do it. And basically, as soon as the dust settles, and this is no longer in the news, and especially after the election, the White House is going to be going right back to letting Israel do whatever the fuck it wants to the Palestinians, like it has since the 40s. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The only problem the West has with what Israel is doing in the Gaza Strip, i.e. taking the Gaza Strip, the only problem that they have with it is the speed of the operation. And I have proof to this claim. The West Bank. Oh, those settlements, those are illegal. Those settlements, those are illegal. Israel announces 10,000 more. Oh, man, geez. Well, ho, guys, it's complicated. It's complicated. For the last, 20, 30 fucking years, that's what we've been hearing about the settlements. Little chunks taken off the West Bank. Not a single fucking thing going to be done about it. In fact, the guy that they put in charge, Bibi Netanyahu, proud of the fact that he destroyed any two-state negotiations. And the United States over here still talking about it. Kirby over here. We continue to believe in the power and promise of a two-state fucking solution and the independent state for the Palestinian people. Just words. Same words that they've been saying for decades, while letting Israel get away with the most heinous of crimes. So the moment the dust settles, the moment that Israel has no longer made the situation so totally untenable that even they can't, even the West, even Uncle Sam can't justify it, it's going to go right back to it. Mark my words. Because here we have the White House voting no on the UN resolution supporting Palestinian statehood. We believe Palestinian statehood should be left up to Israel. Welcome back, Ice King. But we believe Palestine should ask for permission to exist from Israel. It's been our belief from the very beginning that Palestine needs to ask Israel for permission to exist. That's the right way to handle it. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is like, well, we're going to acknowledge Palestine existed. It's too little too late, but at least we're going to acknowledge it too little too late before it's completely erased. Right? Because that's what's really happening. on the ground. Does anybody fucking believe they're going to be given the Gaza Strip back? Oh, security.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Security. We can't possibly give the barbarians back Gaza. They'll just do more weapons and hurt us bad. Our only solution is sheer, unbelievable, horrific brutality, obviously. Right? If the West gave a shit about Palestine, we would have done something about the West Bank decades ago, right? And there was in the Clinton era, there was some kind of, it kind of looked like maybe. But really, if you look at it, if you look at the history of the two-state negotiations, it was nothing but, there was a lot of bad actor negotiating from Israel. Not exactly, wasn't peaches and roses from the corrupt Palestinian Authority either. Eventually, though, the Palestinian Authority said, fine, okay, two-state solution, 1967 borders, we'll acknowledge your existence. Okay, fine, we relent. And Israel was like, okay, we're leaving now. Okay, no more negotiations. Anytime the negotiation gets legitimate, gets real, where there might actually be some kind of resolution, that's when, oh, I got a problem. Oh, see, they said this thing and they said that thing, and well, we're never going back. The red lines have been crossed, and we're never going back. All that shit. Look at the history of it. Don't listen to some, loud guy on Twitch or some asshole on Twitter. Look at the history of the various negotiations. There's documentaries on it. Yeah, Ice King, Kissing Gonzo. Welcome back, The Terry. Are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? Here's a victim of campus anti-Semitism here. Trigger warning, this is hard to watch. This is the kind of brutality that we're seeing on campus right now. And, I agree with all the ghoulish anti-free speech politicians who say something needs to be done. And of course, by something, I mean total full-blown police state crackdown. Of course, once again, trigger warning, you might be traumatized if you watch this. All right, I'm going to hit play now. Just watch out.
I feel unsafe. Can you come and help me?
Oh my God.
Could you please come and help me, Recep?
Please, someone.
I feel unsafe and I'm afraid.
Oh my goodness. Can someone help this man? No one. And you know what? That's the worst part. When you see somebody who's so clearly in need of help, who's so clearly distressed, and what does the crowd do? They just stand there. They just watch. They just watch as this man fades away. That just gives you kind of an idea of these protesters' mentality, that they could watch a man suffer like this. Look at this.
You come and help me, please. Recep.
My God, he's asking for help, and they're doing nothing.
I feel unsafe. Can you come and help me?
Wow.
Could you please come and help me, Recep?
They're laughing at him. They're actually laughing.
I feel unsafe and I'm afraid.
Wow. And look, they're just doing nothing. They're just laughing at him. My God.
Can you come and help me?
So this man was interviewed by Fox News, as one of the victims of anti-Semitism. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm fucking not. This man was, briskly put in front of a Fox News camera and got to tell his stories of woe and horror.
Please, Recep. I feel unsafe. Can you come and help me?
My God. I don't think I'll ever forget that voice. God. Yesterday, media reported on 4 students who testified to an HOC committee on anti-Semitism. Jewish states saying Jewish students are terrified and don't feel safe. They failed to mention 3 of them hold or previously held positions in pro-Israeli advocacy orgs. So, I mean, here's the thing. Anti-Semitism is real. Okay? I know that because I was fighting it vociferously right before October 7th happened, and of course after October 7th. Characters like Nick Fuentes, characters like Alex Jones, characters like Ice Cube. Look it up. Look him up on Twitter. Spreading vile, ignorant, anti-Semitic views about how we just gotta ask the right questions about the right people. Another great example, Kanye West, fighting against that ignorance. So when I see performative bad actors right here saying things like this is anti-Semitism, they destroy any kind of legitimacy to the real anti-Semitism that's happening across the world. You know, just as the people that pretend to be raped are hurting real rape victims, the people that are pretending to be victims of anti-Semitism are actually hurting the efforts against anti-Semitism by delegitimizing it with this absolute clownish buffoonery. One more time.
Come and help me. Could you please come and help me, Recep? I feel unsafe and I'm afraid. Can you come and help me, please?
We're not going to get into a debate about the origins of the word anti-Semitism. Is that really going to benefit the fucking conversation? To get into somewhat linguistic study about the origins of the word anti-Semitism? Really? I'm sorry, Ham. You've been here before. I'm sorry. I'm going too hard. I'm sorry. I'll back off. Just when I have this, I think semantic arguments are often wastes of time, but prove me wrong. Mozambique, no. This man could have just walked away from this carnage, from this brutality. Look at this. Look at this and tell me he could have escaped.
Could you please come and help me, Recep? I feel unsafe and
this man is trapped. This man is trapped in a cage of his own creation. Hey, look at me. Hey, Mr. Clever. Hey-oh. He put a target on his back, and now he's the victim. There's a bomb behind him on the... Yeah, no, he's this is actually a super elaborate saw trap, and he literally, if he steps down, he fucking explodes. I gotta say, there are a lot of interviews with protesters that can sometimes be like, well, their heart's in the right place, but, you know, clearly they don't have a complete grasp as like us news freaks have on the situation, right? But they're there, they showed up, and their heart's in the right place, and they deserve credit, okay? But it's like, they didn't really articulate why they're there, or, you know, what they believe in very well. Someone just shoves a camera and a microphone in your face, and, you just got done smoking a joint, and you're like marching, and you're like, oh, I don't fucking know. I don't like killing bad. And then Hannity says, look at these fucking morons. They don't even know why they're there. I thought I would show you the exact opposite of that. A protester who perfectly exemplifies the ideal protester. Okay, this guy is the bar that we should be hitting out there. He knows why he's there, and he can articulate it. He's got principles, and he stands by him. He's a fucking inspiration. And when you think of, do I want to be a protester? Do I want to be a political activist? This is the example you should be thinking of when you're like, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? It looks like this. It's a 5-minute clip. I hope you enjoy it. I was absolutely inspired by his eloquence and by his strength and his convictions. I hope you're also inspired.
Some breaking news on the campus of the University of Chicago. Campus police there breaking up a protester encampment.
Police in riot gear arrived on campus early this morning. Joni has been there very early. She has the latest. Joni, what?
And I'm sorry about the size of the clip. This was a vertical video that was then converted into a wider video. I don't know what to tell you, okay? We live in a hell world. No one knows how to do cameras and video anymore. Fucking Zoomers don't even know how to use computers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, let's get to it. I'm just sorry about the video. What can I do? All right, let's get to it.
What has unfolded since you arrived?
Well, the campus police, as you said, moved in just before 5 a.m. And these protesters have been holding the line now for 2 hours. There's a bullhorn behind us, so it's very loud. Christopher was on the inside when it happened. Describe what happened in the quadrangle this morning.
Yeah, it was horrific. They waited like cowards until every single student was asleep in their tent, basically. And then they stormed in, maybe 40 or 50 of them with riot gear, screaming. They started throwing wood planks, throwing chairs, throwing absolutely everything in any direction to destroy the camp as fast as possible, to suppress this movement as fast as possible. And in fact, one of the chairs that they threw came within maybe 3 inches of hitting my girlfriend in the head. And they had just woken us up.
So it was dark because it was before sunrise. You had a warning that they were coming, but they didn't for a while, and so everybody was
We had no warning. No, we had no warning.
Okay, so then what did you do when all that action was happening?
I tried to make sure everyone was safe. I mean, it was chaos. It was terrifying. Yeah.
So you were able to get out. I understand that students are being threatened with disciplinary action for being in there.
They gave us some ridiculous notice out here saying that participants in the quad encampment, which no longer exists thanks to them, are facing like an interim leave of absence as well as a criminal trespass charge. I have no idea if that's just a scare tactic or if it's real, but it doesn't matter because the difference between us and people like these cops is that there are limits to when we continue following orders. And when you're talking about a genocide visited upon a colonized population of 2 million people trapped.
Well, Kissing Gonzo, sorry, just to answer Kissing Gonzo's question here, when a person goes to a protest, how do you know if you've been successful? It's not about any one protest being successful. It's about creating momentum on a narrative. It's a messaging kind of thing, and that's what you need to kind of understand. Was I part of this momentum? Did that lead to change somewhere in the future? It's messy, but that's democracy. So that's kind of how you should frame your participation in protests and your time spent on political activism. At the very least, you stood up for what you believed in, and ultimately, that's we're born alone and we die alone, and ultimately that you can take that with you to the very end. That you stood up for something, you stood for something. It's huge.
And when you're talking about a genocide visited upon a colonized population of 2 million people trapped in a ghetto that's as long as a marathon and 6 miles wide, when that ghetto is being systematically starved, slaughtered, every hospital bombed, every university bombed, 70% of homes destroyed, 40,000 people murdered, 15,000 children murdered, the entire population on the brink of starvation, and if our government and our academic institutions are complicit in this, there comes a point where we say we're not following orders and it doesn't matter what you do to us because there are principles and there are human lives that matter more than our careers and our futures, and that's what separates us from people like Paul Olivisatos, the coward president of this university, and these coward cops that come in terrorizing an encampment while people are sleeping.
You've been standing at this line linked arm in arm with other protesters. What has happened here?
What's happening here, you'd have to ask them. Apparently they're trying to intimidate us, trying to suppress the protest that is continuing to grow. I think that they thought they could basically terrify us into inaction, into flight. But this is what this university has never understood, has never accepted, has never reckoned with about this student movement, and not just at UChicago, but around the country, is that the commitment to Gaza runs deeper than fears for our safety, fears for our careers, fears for our paychecks. It is a fundamental obligation we have as citizens of a country that is presiding over this genocide, arming this genocide, and as students at a university that is invested in those same weapons manufacturers and that is partnered with the same apartheid institutions that train that military and develop its technology.
There was some pushing and shoving.
Great answer.
I don't know who was pushing or shoving, but I know that there was tension here at the line. You've tried to have a conversation with some of these police officers.
Yeah, I've been talking to them this whole time. I've been asking them what it would take for them to stop following orders. I would ask them, you know, how many kids have to die? So if you say 15,000 kids are killed, they're still willing to violently suppress a national movement, raising the alarm that this needs to stop, that the U.S. complicity needs to stop. So what if it was 50,000 kids, 200,000 kids, 1 million kids? What if the whole Gaza ghetto?
What's it going to take?
Do you know if there are next steps here?
For them? For me, the next step is a simple one, whatever form it takes, which is to continue fighting with every breath we have, with everything we have, for the people of Gaza, because the blood of those kids is on our hands. It's on all of our hands, whether we like it or not. If we're U.S. citizens, if we're UChicago students, we are implicated in this horror that is being visited with total impunity because of U.S. Security Council vetoes by the state of Israel. I'm a student, yes, I'm a PhD student, yeah.
And if you face discipline, what then?
Again, I don't care. It doesn't matter. There are things that matter more than my academic future. And certainly every one of those children that is being murdered, starved, maimed, whose parents are having to choose, you know, do I let this kid starve first or that one? This is such an ugly reality of such great magnitude that to even think, to really entertain questions about like, oh, what might happen if Paul puts me on a leave of absence, is ridiculous. And it's insulting to the memory of every child that has been murdered in the course of this genocide with the full complicity of the United States, of Joe Biden, and of people like Paul Alivisatos and his cops that he sticks on us in the middle of the night. They're hypocrites, they're cowards, and the blood of Gaza's kids is on their hands too. The difference between them and us is that we know that and we reckon with it because we have a duty to them while they hide from the truth and they won't even admit that a single university has been bombed.
Thank you so much.
How about that? Whoops, I didn't mean to hit that one. And then, don't you love it? Don't you love the algorithm going right to a shark interview with a horrible, horrible oligarch, Kevin Leary, you know, who no atrocity is big enough for him to have an ounce of shame about it? Isn't that cute how the algorithm does that? I'd like to give credit to Fox News for showing this interview in full. Fox 32, local Fox 32, not national Fox News. Of course, they would never show this interview in full. The main reason, of course, that Fox 32 decided to show this all is because this is about, you know, we're standing up against Joe Biden. You know, that's if this was about Trump, they would not have allowed that man to speak for as long as he did. But credit where credit is due. Fox 32 allowing this man to speak completely without cutting it up, his full statement. It was really great, really eloquent. And like I said, that's the standard you need to, that's the bar. Okay? Like, we got to know why we're there. We got to know what our principles are. We got to know what we're willing to fight and die for. Because if we don't know those things, we're easily manipulated by the gaslighters and bad actors and, you know, clowns of the world like Nick Fuentes, right? So I hope you enjoyed that clip. A little bit of recent news. I thought I'd actually get some news. So this is from just 6 hours ago. What's actually happening on the ground in Rafah? Let's get an update. Welcome back. I am evil, Eric.
Israel has called on Palestinians to evacuate parts of Rafah in the south, as well as 2 northern Gaza neighborhoods. More than 110,000 people in Rafah have already fled the area as fighting between Israeli troops and Palestinian militants intensifies there. Heavy clashes have left crucial aid crossings inaccessible. Meanwhile, Israel's military has also deployed forces north of Gaza City, where the army says Hamas fighters have reorganized. Residents of the city of Jabalia were told to evacuate in preparation for renewed combat. Tanya Kramer is following developments for us from Jerusalem, and she joins us now for more. Good to see you, Tanya. So, are these renewed evacuation orders for civilians in Rafah a sign that Israel is indeed about to launch a major offensive in the area? And that's despite international calls not to do this.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the Israeli military still says it is a limited operation, but on Thursday, the Security Cabinet has actually green-lighted the expansion of this ground offensive. So we don't know, how far they will go right now, but we're seeing more evacuation orders now for the population there.
My question is, though, is this is once this is over, what's the card they're going to play? How is Hamas going to exist after this? Declaring victory. Bibi doesn't want to declare victory. It's bad for him electorally. So what do you do, man? You need a boogeyman.
Still in eastern Rafah, but we've seen and we've talked to people in Rafah, and they're saying, many of those who are not in these specific areas, but also in other areas, they're fearing and they're very worried about, and people who can leave. I mean, there's always those vulnerable people that cannot leave, they are leaving right now, and the numbers were given by the United Nations agencies working there on the ground, over 100,000. Others have put the number much higher of those people that are leaving. So this is eastern Rafah, and as you said, there are also evacuation orders for people, again, in northern Gaza, in Beit Lahia, which is in the northern part of Gaza City, and the town of Beit Hanun.
Time and time again, I'm struck at how the world could consider these people others, barbarians. Right, like, that they're just evil people, and as soon as you let them congregate in enough numbers, they're gonna collect enough soldiers to fight an army against Jewish people around the world. And I look at them living their lives, and they're just regular people. They're just regular ass folks who are exhausted, and they're just carting around their meager possessions from here and there. I just don't see this, I just don't see it. I just don't see you really got to be lying to yourself to be convincing yourself that these people are anything other than human beings like you or I. It's just unbelievable to me. Just seeing how they live, they do their laundry. They're regular folks. Just want to live in peace. Oh, no, they're not. No, they're not. They hate us. They hate us. They hate us. I truly believe that if there was an honest actor in this process, Uncle Sam most likely, that if there was an honest actor who was really legitimately trying to give liberation to the Palestinian people, to give them their country, that the Palestinian people would more or less go along with it. Of course, you would never get 100%. That's not how the world works. But I truly believe a grand majority of Palestinian people would be perfectly fine living next to Israel and with a two-state solution if they could just be left alone and have the freedom to roam about their own country without the threat of being killed or harassed. I really truly believe that. And the reason why I believe that is because I see the evidence here that they're just regular human beings. So my frame of reference is the human beings that I've known throughout my entire life. They're no fucking different.
For people, again, in northern Gaza, in Beit Lahia, which is in the northern part of Gaza City, and the town of Beit Hanun, which is in the northeast, potentially indicating that Hamas is regrouping there, although Israel has said it is there mostly under control. Now, what does it mean for the people on the ground? They have to leave in the southern parts now to an area either going further up north to Khan Yunis, where there's mostly...
So I was told by the Israeli bad actors and ghouls that support the blockades of aid that literally 100% of the aid was going to Hamas. Now, if my eyes deceive me, I believe that says UNRWA right there, and I think we have different angles of this. It looks to me, unless this man is a card-carrying member of Hamas, it does look like this aid is reaching civilians. And you know, I'm not denying that Hamas is stealing some of this and in fact selling some of it in open markets in Palestine. I've definitely seen evidence of that. But this idea that, you know, none of this aid is getting to starving children and that it's morally justified, you know, as a military strategy to blockade this aid and, of course, remove the ability for these aid agencies to keep feeding these people, it's just once again just another horrific justification for for denying what we're seeing with our own eyes.
To an area either going further up north to Khan Yunis, where there's mostly rubble and ruins, but also they were asked to go to Al-Mawasi, which is on the shoreline, on the coastline of Gaza. But aid agencies have said, the area there is highly inadequate for so many people. It is without electricity, without running water, a sewage system. And people have been displaced now many times over and over again. And all this is, of course, happening while the bombardment is going on. And also in this evacuation area, seeing this since Tuesday, is the Rafah crossing, which has been closed since agencies are warning that not enough aid is coming in anymore. Although Israel says some aid came in, but there's a dispute over how much aid is actually reaching people, because the south of Gaza was mainly where aid organizations were still working in the past months.
Well, Tanya, in a separate development, the U.S. says Israel may have breached international law with American weapons in Gaza. Has there been an official reaction from Israel to these allegations?
No, we didn't see yet an official reaction to this, but it's very closely watched, because the report says that Israel's use of U.S. weapons is likely to be inconsistent with international law, but that it lacks, the evidence in specific cases. Now,
with our thumbs squarely up our ass, we're asking obvious questions and getting obvious answers, and guess what? The bombs are dropping and nothing's really changing. This is part of the strategy. It's about buying time. And let me tell you something, man. Once this election is over with, and hopefully Joe Biden wins, it's going to be, pro-Zionist Joe Biden once again. It's going to be like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over here in terms of, his supposed care for human rights.
Human rights groups would argue that they have documented cases where the force being used is disproportionate, where they're more, in the light of so many civilian casualties. Now, Israel has rejected those accusations all along. It says it does enough to protect civilians, but this comes, of course, amid a deepening rift between the U.S. administration and Israel about the shipment of arms. And we have to see, how this Rafah operation now comes into play in this, because the U.S. has always said this is a red line for them if Israel goes further, deeper into Rafah. But, what will they do, and what will other countries do if Israel is expanding its ground offensive there?
Okay, so sorry, that was just a recap, really. Not really any new news, really just asking the essential question, what's the world going to do? Here's a little hint at what the world's going to do. The world made its choice. The Western world made its choice on Israel and Palestine decades ago, dude. The two-state solution was dead decades ago. Okay? And any lip service to the two-state solution is literally just propaganda meant to placate you into thinking that eventually this never-ending chaos will end. You buy enough time, they take enough land, and and I think the United States hoped that maybe one day we could have crowded all the West Bank Palestinians into some ghetto in the Gaza Strip, maybe the entire Gaza Strip or half of it or something, just cram them into one place and then let Israel take, 95%, 90% of Palestine, and then Israel will declare its borders, and then we can start the real peace process. That's going to be the real two-state solution. I think what is kind of throwing the Western consensus through a loop is the monster that Frankenstein has created with this extreme right-wing Bibi Netanyahu government. It's gotten completely out of control with extremists like Ben Gvir in the driver's seat, and they don't care about American support. What they care about is the annihilation of the Palestinian idea, the existence of Palestine as even a concept. And quite honestly, they're very close to achieving that. Israel is firmly in the driver's seat, even now. which says a lot about the West. Will the Israelis stay below what Biden sees as its red line? No. Nope. They're gonna go ahead and do whatever the hell they want and really, really test the West. I think that's what, because it's Bibi's in a rock and a hard place. It's really, because Bibi used to be, when the situation was different, he was the United States' guy because he could kind of keep the extremism on tap, keep the project moving, right? Taking little chunks of the West Bank and keeping the blockade on the Gaza Strip. So keeping the project of Palestinian erasure moving, right? But also placating the West as best as he can, and kind of playing both sides really, really well. He can't really do that anymore because the only reason he's sitting in government is because of the extreme faction Ben Gvir and Smotrich and the rest. He has a coalition with them. He has to work with these extremists that are even more extreme than him. They want to say, fuck the United States. I don't care. Drop the bombs. Literally, we have the military. Literally, some of these guys, Smotrich talks about destroying them, killing them. So that's kind of what Bibi's up against here. And he is, as soon as this crisis is over, apparently investigations that were put on hold will, of course, fire back up again. His entire political career is in jeopardy. The moment this crisis is over and Hamas is defeated, we saw him try to basically change the judiciary so that people in his position and Bibi's positions are basically above the law, and he could just tell his party to tell the judicial department to drop whatever investigation is currently being done against, Bibi. He failed in that attempt. Then October 7th happened, and now he's in a rock and a hard place. And he's willing, and quite frankly, he's willing to give up the support of the West temporarily. He's probably calculating that's temporary. He's willing to give up the support of the West, piss off Joe Biden. He doesn't even really like Joe Biden. He wants Trump anyway, right? So there's probably that level of calculation happening as well. But I think he's the calculation that he's making is, I'll piss off the West. Eventually, they'll come back to me. To keep my coalition, he says, to keep his 64 seats in the Knesset. So he talks about, the coalition is the most important thing for him, because once he loses that motherfucker might actually be like really in trouble for jail time. Clutch Cargo, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, the extremists are threatening that they'll leave. They're already, flexing their political leverage. So it's happening in real time. It's happening in real time. This, Bibi is in a rock and a hard place. And like I said, I think he's willing to say, well, this is, if I want to avoid jail and keep my dictatorship, maybe turn this into a dictatorship. I mean, keep my seat of power. This is the game I'm going to have to play. And, the Palestinians, of course, caught right in the middle of it. Hamas doing them no favors.
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians on the move again. Rafah, where the IDF's been warning for weeks it's poised to invade. But where is truly safe? The fear is real. 21 members of the same family killed overnight. This funeral isn't in Rafah. 21. It's miles away in Deir al-Balah. Still no ceasefire. Across Gaza, the entire population is effectively trapped between the IDF and Hamas.
Here they are, in pieces. Here's my sister-in-law without a head. My aunt is without a head. What is this injustice? Until when will this be going on? We are exhausted. By God, we are exhausted.
When and how will this end?
Yes,
Israel says it won't stop until Hamas is defeated.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to give big props to Woke Patriot for all those wonderful links, those New York Times links in the Discord. Thank you so much. We've seen several of his links today, so thank you, Woke Patriot, for your contributions to the News Underground. Thank you so much. Forgot to say thank you.
Yep, in places, Hamas appears to have regrouped. The Israeli military's excuses. Israel says it won't stop until Hamas is defeated. Yep, in places, Hamas appears to have regrouped. The Israeli military's expanded its evacuation orders for Rafah. Several more neighborhoods are being told to leave. More than 150,000 people have already fled the city to what the IDF calls an expanded humanitarian zone on the coast. But further north, they've now said parts of Gaza City must re-evacuate. The IDF says Hamas has reassembled in and around Jabalia. So residents are being told to leave again and head for...
And we might see this used as a justification to basically blockade. That I'm surprised that they've allowed. So the people that have returned have been allowed to just drift back in. I assume somewhere along the line back to northern Gaza, the IDF would have stopped them, turned them around, or of course murdered them. So it's interesting that there's a re-evacuation of Gaza City, that the trickling of people coming back into northern Gaza has actually been allowed, or I guess the IDF hasn't been able to contain it. Really shocked to see that we haven't seen Israel use some kind of justification for keeping these people out of there. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe, hey, maybe the Bibi's prior statements that I figured were lies about allowing Palestinians to go back north. Maybe he's not kidding. Maybe the Palestinians will be allowed to go back. Hey, I'll be the first to gladly and proudly admit that I was wrong if I honestly see Israel allow Palestinians back into the Gaza Strip once this madness is over with.
Shelters to the west. 7 months of fighting and nearly 35,000 Palestinians have been killed. Over 100 Israeli hostages still missing.
That number is
Hamas
probably
saying
much
this
higher.
afternoon that 51-year-old Brit Nadav Popplewell is now dead. It claims killed by an Israeli air.
No, Kissing Gonzo, he's not saying it's a cover-up. He's just saying people are being moved around and shuffled like one would see in a shell game.
Strike. Israeli ground troops in Rafah are already in close combat with Hamas, according to the IDF.
Yeah, no problem.
But at the UN and in capitals across the world, Israel's under increasing diplomatic pressure to change strategy. The UN General Assembly voting last night to give Palestine enhanced rights.
We covered this yesterday.
Israel is defiant, though.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what you're doing, shredding the UN Charter.
Their ambassador to the UN furious.
Shame on you.
So the focus turns to Israel's key ally. What is
That'll win you some friends right there at the UN.
Is Washington's next
Fuck
move?
your couch.
Consider
Fuck
Israel's
your couch.
use of American bombs. Have they broken human rights law? A long-awaited State Department report released last night came very close to saying yes. Driven by campus protests and a growing unease in the Democrat base about Israel's pursuit of Hamas.
How you respond matters. And when you use a 2,000-pound bomb to go after one member of Hamas and kill 100 or more people, that is not consistent with international law.
In Israel tonight, hostage families begging for the war to stop.
Entering Rafah and expanding the operations there are both hinder the hostages release negotiation and put the hostages' lives in grave danger.
And in Rafah, another exodus. Where will they end up?
Kemi and Zaram reporting. Mossab Nasser runs an American medical charity working in Gaza. 2 weeks ago, he arrived in Rafah with 17 medical staff working at the European hospital. Today, he's overseen their evacuation from the safe house they've been using, which is in one of the areas the Israeli military has ordered people to leave. I spoke to him earlier and asked how that evacuation went.
In terms of evacuation, the European hospital itself has not been ordered to evacuate. However, the bombs were falling within a 500-meter radius from our supposedly safe house that is actually no longer safe. And that's why we decided to move the team of 17. We have 12 Americans, 3 Brits, and 1 from Egypt and 1 from Oman. Spent the night last night here at the European hospital, and we woke up this morning with the news that the area where our safe house is has been ordered to evacuate. So effectively, we evacuated before the evacuation orders because we could
this
not
kind of
tolerate
intimidation is intentional.
the bombings that was taking place even before the orders of evacuation.
You know,
The Israel.
it's about compounding of pain. Okay, making it less and less tenable to live in your so-called neighborhood, right? You have no school, no hospital, your home is gone, no running water, no electricity. Are you willing to live like that? And a lot of people are like, no, I used to enjoy hot showers and charging my cell phone, right?
Defense forces say they're asking people to move from these areas to reduce civilian casualties. They say this is temporary while they carry out these operations. Is that what you're seeing on the ground?
The word evacuation sounds very gentle, to be honest with you. What we've seen is really what we have experienced ourselves. We were forced to evacuate without evacuation orders. Our block, where we were staying in Rafah, was not under evacuation until yesterday. But we had no choice but to evacuate because bombs were falling even west of us, which we are supposed to be in the eastern central part of Rafah, which was not supposed to be bombed.
Okay, so you get the point there. Unfortunately, I don't have time to show this entire interview. Good stuff, though, and, absolute hero out there. Sorry I have to interrupt him. But there's a very important video. I don't want you to fall asleep. I know people have a hard time just showing the entire interview. They kind of pass out. They get disinterested. Not because you don't care, but because real life is real life. I get it, okay? There's the link in the chat if you want the full interview. Thank you again, this absolute hero who's taking care of business out there in Gaza. The last video I have for you today is, you might have heard of this video. It actually made the news for two reasons. One, it was because CNN is putting out this video, and if you've been watching CNN lately, it's been about 95% Tapper Jake talking to defenders of Israel's ethnic cleansing and looking really concerned about campus anti-Semitism. So the fact that this somewhat equivalent to like the Abu Ghraib video came out on CNN is kind of shocking in and of itself. And of course, like I just mentioned, this is very similar to when the United States was exposed for its torture program in Abu Ghraib and other places. Now, with that said, the Abu Ghraib photos that came out were far more unforgettable. Of course, remember the guy in the hood standing on a box with wires connected to him. If he stepped down or if he moved, he would be electrocuted. The pretty girl standing over the guy in his underwear on his knees, with a cigarette, and oh, I'm a badass. So we haven't seen those specific photos. What we have are eyewitness reports of people who describe some of the most ghoulish and horrific torture I have seen or heard described since the Stalin era, since the gulags that Stalin created. People having their hands amputated because the handcuffs and restraints and zip ties that were put on them were so tight and put on them for so long that they had their hands just straight up amputated. Scars, people have so many, there's hundreds and hundreds of these Palestinian prisoners have scars on their hands. And all this evidence has been corroborated. CNN is not spreading lies here. This is really happening. It was actually happening before October 7th. Unfortunately, and of course, since October 7th, the justifications have, been blown completely out of proportion. So now it is a full-blown torture program that seems to be, backed up and supported by the current government that's in charge. So, I got this from CNN, and I have to say it was a whole lot of, Israel is justified, anti-Semitism is a problem on campus, and this one shining jewel sitting in a pile of mediocre shit. So I do have to point that out. With that said, I would like to thank CNN for doing this journalistic work and putting it out there, because I can guarantee you the emails were flying coming from Israel and all the Israeli lobbies and all the powerful pro-Israel entities in the United States and elsewhere were probably flooding CNN with nonstop, you support Hamas, this is how Hamas wins, you're in line with the terrorists kind of stuff. And, you know, that pressure, it may sound ridiculous to you as a regular person, but that kind of pressure makes billion-dollar companies like CNN sweat their ass off.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
They don't like ye, is what I'm trying to say. So you do have to give credit where credit is due, because this, you know, SodaStream and Israeli companies and Israeli billionaires and others will remember this, and they, you know, it will affect CNN and how, you know, and the top dollar dealings and things like that. It's basically what I'm saying is, you know, it takes a little bit of balls to tell the truth. And you do have to give credit where credit is due. With that said, like I said, 95% of CNN up until this clip has been Israel's fully justified. And wow, can you believe these hippies who hate Jewish people all of a sudden? Isn't that crazy? Get to it. This is really something else. Trigger warning. You're not going to see, you know, anything brutal like with what we saw with Abu Ghraib, but the descriptions are incredibly troubling. So just a heads up there. Also, can I talk about how dangerous this is right here? So just nothing, huh? No, nothing, huh? You just like, because, you know, as the road expands, you got no sandbags, you got no water, nothing. Just slam right into the sign. Okay, anyway. Pretty dangerous to me.
The Israeli military doesn't want us to see.
How many Palestinians are in there right now?
Who are you? Give me please now.
Hang on, what is it that you want? Can I on my card?
But CNN has gained exclusive evidence of Palestinian prisoner abuse from multiple Israeli whistleblowers.
Yeah, Clutch. It has gotten worse.
At the Sedi Taman facility in southern Israel, we joined human rights activists amid growing public concern for the detainees being held inside. This is a protest by Israeli citizens outside a detention centre close to Gaza, where we know hundreds of Palestinians have been held. You can see it's a closed...
And yeah, the crowd size is about right. I mean, the fact is, a democratic plurality in Israel wants to see Palestine erased. That's a pretty big problem that doesn't have an instant solution. You know, what do you do with that? What do you do with that when an entire society and culture is in agreement that there's a special kind of human being that just so happens to be our neighbor, that is not human and does not deserve human rights? What do you do with that? Well, obviously, you give it billions of dollars and fully, you know, weaponize it, and, you know, give it incredible power. You know, what could go wrong? What could go wrong with that?
The military facility, it's behind a barbed wire fence. We're not permitted access, and there's hostility from passers-by.
We just had somebody drive past in a car, and they shouted out to us in Hebrew, "You're defending murderers."
No.
You're defending. What do you?
No, we're defending basic human rights.
And eyewitnesses are now speaking out. Away from the military facility, near the beaches of Tel Aviv, one young Israeli army reservist agreed to speak about scores of detainees at Sedi Taman. He says are kept in cages or pens, constantly shackled and blindfolded, many for weeks on end.
Wow.
We've hidden his identity and voice to shield him from prosecution.
We were told they are not allowed to move and must sit upright. They're not allowed to talk or peek under their blindfolds.
And what happened if they
I don't think so, Ice King.
What kind of punishments were meted out?
We were allowed to pick out problematic people and punish them, having them stand with their hands above their heads for an unlimited time. If they didn't keep their hands up, we could zip tie them to the fence.
The Israeli military says detainees are handcuffed based on their risk level and health status. But the account tallies with photographic evidence obtained by CNN of Palestinian detainees inside Sedi Taman.
Right here.
And with hand and wrist injuries
This
shown
is
to
a war
CNN
crime.
by dozens of Palestinians.
These are
released
war
back
crimes.
into
Look at that
Gaza.
guy. Look at that one. Boy, you know,
Shown
they
to
didn't spend
CNN
enough time
by
on that
dozens of Palestinians.
right there. Do you know how, you know, zip tied probably for weeks? This is permanent damage. Okay, this is excruciating. Okay, cruel and unusual. Was this man a terrorist? Did he have his day in court? Was evidence gathered and presented? Was he defended by a public defender? Absolutely not. Yeah, his hands are swollen. Absolutely disgusting.
Released back
By
into
a
Gaza.
so-called democracy.
I was zip-tied and blindfolded, says this former detainee, and tortured in a way I never imagined. One source telling us the restraints were so tight they had to amputate a man's hand.
The view that I've heard expressed is that, how do you think Israeli hostages are treated by Hamas?
This sentiment was voiced in the facility, but I think that if Hamas is so abominable, which I agree with, then why use Hamas as a bar? It's a descent into dehumanization.
And that's a great point from an Israeli whistleblower here. It's like, if Hamas is so bad, why are we letting Hamas set the barrier, and why are we going beyond it? Who has killed more children in this conflict, Israel or Hamas? Who has killed more women in this conflict, Israel or Hamas? Who has done more physical damage, Israel or Hamas? And it's one thing to commit these crimes and say, okay, it's necessary. It's another thing to say we're the most moral. On top of that, kind of a cherry on top of that, right?
A descent that's accelerated since the rampage by Hamas on October the 7th last year.
So yeah, as you
killing
can see
and
here,
abduction to Gaza of hundreds.
As you can see here, Hamas, terrorist organization, working against the interests of the Palestinian people, in a pathetic, poorly. I mean, it wasn't poorly planned, I guess. It was poorly planned in a myriad of ways, but it was somewhat planned. But no, basically poorly planned. They didn't really expect that they were going to get as far as they did, and when they did, they had no idea what to do. But horrific stuff. Do the protesters who are protesting for free Palestine support this? The bad actors would say yes. If you walk up to these protesters and ask them, do you support Hamas? They would say no, and probably give you an explanation as to why. Because it's really difficult. You'll run into some that are naive and think that Hamas is some resistance group. But a grand majority of people just want a ceasefire. They just want the violence to end. I hate how Hamas is still seen, especially by institutions like Al Jazeera, as a legitimate representative of the Palestinian people because of a crooked election 20 years ago. I do not see a very strong anti-Hamas narrative on Al Jazeera, and I feel like that ultimately does work against the interests of the Palestinian people. Religious extremists should not be coddled in any kind of way.
Hundreds of Israelis provoked outrage and a brutal response.
Yeah,
Amid
seemingly
Israel's
Hamas has
wrath,
learned nothing.
Tens of thousands of Palestinians have been killed. And
Sorry
thousands
about that. I should have my
detained
filter up.
for interrogation. Transported to facilities like Seder Taman, where one Israeli guard now tells CNN prisoners are routinely beaten. We've hidden his
Kissing
identity.
Gonzo. We've talked about
and
them
voice
briefly
too.
on the News Underground.
You can take them out and hit them maybe 4 or 5 times with a club. It's not done in the face, so you don't see blood. The detainees lie belly down, being hit and kicked, people screaming and dogs barking at them. It's terrifying. Some detainees are taken away and beaten really hard.
Kissing Gonzo.
So bones and teeth are broken.
So you saw people who were subject to these beatings, who had their bones broken and who had their teeth broken.
Yes, it's a practice which commanders know about. They want intelligence, but they also want revenge and punishment for what happened on October 7th.
The Israeli military hasn't approved CNN's requests for access to Sedi Taman. But at the gates of the facility, we challenged the Israeli guards.
How many Palestinians are in there right now? Don't know. Do you know if they're being handcuffed? Are they being blindfolded? No.
This is a facility.
As we leave, masked soldiers approach.
Hello, how are you? I'm filming this place. It's a property of the army. Oh. So who are you guys? From CNN.
They tried to take our cameras.
Give me please now. Give me please now.
Democracy, what is it that you want? My camera or my card?
Then order us to leave. Well, we're driving now to meet one Israeli with personal experience of the Sadeh Tayman facility.
This is our money.
Experience that he says has left him shocked at the condition and the medical treatment of Palestinian detainees there. He told us he treated Palestinian detainees with gunshot wounds fresh from the war zone in Gaza, but was appalled at the lack of equipment and expertise.
The problem is, Gazans who are brought in are labeled as terrorists, and it is very popular opinion over here that terrorists deserve to die, so they do not deserve the same medical care as everyone else.
Satellite imagery obtained by CNN shows how the Sedi Taman facility was expanded after the October 7th attacks, with detention facilities and makeshift medical bays being added after public hospitals in Israel refused to treat injured Gazan suspects. Eyewitness accounts describe a field hospital with 15 to 20 patients, virtually naked and blindfolded, with hands and feet shackled to their beds and wearing diapers. One eyewitness told CNN painful procedures were carried out by underqualified medics. Treatment the medical worker told us amounts to punishment.
In my view, it's the idea of total vulnerability. If you imagine being unable to move, being unable to see what's going on, that's something.
Punishment.
In my view, it's the idea of total vulnerability. If you imagine being unable to move, being unable to see what's going on, that's something that borders, if not crosses, into psychological torture.
Yeah.
The Israeli military says prisoners are stripped for security checks and that investigations are opened when there's suspicion of misconduct. Still, accounts from Israelis and Palestinians inside and the shocking images paint a disturbing picture. Matthew Chance, CNN, at Sedi Taman.
There's CNN, doing some good journalism for once. Certainly not. I'm not applauding the content. I'm just applauding the fact that this is being talked about on the mainstream. Oops, wrong link there. And what do they don't want cameras? The diaper thing. Yeah. I mean, if they're going to the trouble of putting diapers on these people, that means that they're being kept there for days. And look, a human being can't lay in the same position for days on end. They get something called bed sores, and your muscles, they don't like that. And of course, if you've ever been lazy enough to lay in the same position long enough, your muscles will start to ache. So if they're going through the trouble of diapers there, I seriously doubt that they're going, they're worried about bed sores and worried about rotation. I don't know. And the whole they need to be stripped naked, that makes some sense on the front lines of the battlefield when you have, these guys, some of these guys, strapped up with suicide vests and stuff. But once they're in the facility and they've been checked, there's no need to keep them naked. It's like that person said, it's about total vulnerability. We saw similar stuff in Abu Ghraib. It's about dehumanization, and what we're seeing is state sanctioned revenge, which is 100% a war crime. They're not gathering intelligence from a lot of these guys. It's just pain. It's just it's a torture factory. It's just pain, just for revenge. And you know, if you want to try to say that shit's justified, all right, man. You're disgusting. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm a hero. Okay, you can tell yourself that until you're blue in the face. You're disgusting. The people, you know, remember John Yoo? Was that the lawyer that, you know, created the term enhanced interrogation? Monster. He'll be remembered as a monster for the rest of his life. The Bush administration for their embrace of torture. Monsters. That's how it works. Stalin, monster. Mao, monster. Uncle Sam, pretty much a monster. Barack Obama campaigned on closing down the torture centers, and he didn't do it because he's a coward. He's a monster and a war criminal and deserves to be in jail. Yes, Barack Obama. His skin color was different, though. Yes, I'm aware of that. That does not, you know, black guy in power doesn't mean he can't commit crimes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the realest motherfucking news channel on Twitch. This is how we do it here at the News Underground. Hope you enjoyed it. Keeping it so real it hurts. Big props to Kissing Gonzo, Zeo Duke, Ice King of Space, Lenny, the #1 Twitch streamer on this platform. All you lurkers out there, thank you. Big props to you lurkers. Thank you, Ms. V, for that follow. Clutch Cargo. Make sure you're liking and subscribe to Clutch Cargo as well. Excellent streamer. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate that, even though we butted heads. Big props to your boy, Woke Patriot. Thank you again for all those links. Absolute, true OG, Woke Patriot. And Davey, of course, but I don't think we saw Davey today. It's no problem. He's got a life. Big props to our friends over there in Ukraine. Kissing Gonzo. Estonian. I'm not sure if you're from Ukraine. Weren't you from Sweden? Big props to Estonian. And, of course, Kissing Gonzo. I am Evil Eric. Thank you for stopping in once again. I do appreciate that. DJ Shay coming back for a second helping of the News Underground. Very much appreciate it. The Terry coming back again. Once again, big props for Ham. Thank you, Ham, for coming back. Love to see you guys coming back. Mozambique over there, a new user on Kick. Hope you enjoyed the News Underground over there on Kick. Are we having fun yet? Says Terry. I love that. Ribbons. Good to see you, Ribbons. Thank you for coming back, Ribbons. Real regular there, Ribbons. I do appreciate your continued patronage of the News Underground. Bert Stein, haven't seen you in a while. Thank you, Bert Stein, for coming back. New user, Nematode. Nematode, I hope you had a good time. Thank you, Nematode. And, of course, once again, thank you, Lurkers, for coming back and giving me the most valuable thing you can give me, which is that view. Carl Toes, big props to Carl Toes. Thank you, Carl Toes. Platinum, big props to you, Platinum. Leon, you're the best. Thank you, Leon. Leon, of course, is successful in following the 3-step program, which is inform yourself, join a progressive or lefty political organization in Leon's case, and step 3, put in the work like Charlie Kirk. Those are the 3 steps to success, to political change. Your stream doesn't suck, bruh. I don't know. It could be better. We're trying every day. We try to do better. I'm here to troll leftists and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, that's really adorable. That's so cute. Anyway, here's the ass end of my boot. Here you go. Since you enjoy licking boots, maybe you'd like to lick this boot as I shove it down your throat and kick you the fuck out of my stream. Yeah, no, thank you, everybody. Once again, this is the News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, a.k.a. The Harbinger, a.k.a. the realest motherfucker on Twitch, and I hope you had a good time. I'm going to try to make time to do a stream tomorrow as well. We'll see. Suck on these nuts, right wing. Fucking like corn cob, bitch. See you later. Thank you, Lenny. 100% woke patriot. OG in this bitch.
Feel my face. I mean,
make sure you check out them Northern Lights tonight. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East.
My cousin got the talk. My cousin got the talk, nigga.
Rewind your VHS tape.
My cousin got the talk. My cousin got cold.
Who's underground? Open your mind. Open your heart. Keep it real, everybody. Thank you for being here. See you next time.